It's 6:30, everyone,
Starts the process.
and time to call the meeting to order. The Board of Alderman regular session of Tuesday, May 26, 2026 will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sawyer.
Present.
Rice.
Here.
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 Ross.
Here.
Sagasser.
Here.
Rains.
Here.
Neal.
Present.
Wilson.
With 7 present, we have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm asking for a motion to adopt an amended agenda that allows Mr. Lenz to become item 0.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The amended agenda has been approved. I'm asking for an approval for the approval of minutes for the meeting of April 14th, 2026 work session and April 28th, 2026 regular and closed session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, further discussion. Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have approved the minutes of the 2 sessions. I'm asking for a motion for approval of the bills and financial reports. I presume we have looked over. You have moments to look over. I saw something, not a question, but I always wonder who these people are. I see on the first page a check for $26,030.16 for Olson Associates. I suppose I should know who those are.
Yep.
What
They're the engineering firm that does all the stuff out at the airport for us.
Oh, okay. Very good. I'm asking for a motion.
I move that we pay our bills. Second.
Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We've approved the bills and financial reports. We now have the introduction of a new employee. Chief Watkins, can you come forward, please?
I'd like to welcome Ryan Franey to our department, and he's going to do swearing in like I normally do, and then he'll meet y'all. So raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Ryan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the state of Missouri,
the state of Missouri,
and the city of Bolivar,
and the city of Bolivar,
and I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as firefighter
as firefighter
of the Bolivar City Fire Department
of the Bolivar City Fire Department
to the best of my skills and abilities.
to the best of my skills and abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you again.
You too, sir.
Congratulations.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Elford, can we hear from you?
Good evening, Board. All right, a few items. Citywide cleanup. We talked about this last week, but I wanted to give you some stats. You know, every year we give you some numbers on how things went and the volume. So we had 292,000 pounds of dump fees. Cost us roughly $4,500 in dump fees out at Springfield Dump. Fuel prices, we spent roughly $3,300 on fuel. It took a little over 1,000 man hours. In total, we had 816 trash stops, 722 brush stops for a total of 1,538. So we did that in 6.5 days. So well done to the team that did that. So that's a lot. Some good news, the solar array out at the rec center became operational May 20th. So it was certified, and we'll see in a couple months what the impact of that is from a utility standpoint. Floating wetlands, if you've been out to Dunnigan, they did that last week, last Wednesday, I believe. So thanks to Todd, Rhett, we have a bunch of folks in the Department of Conservation from this office, Columbia, and others came down and helped do that project. So I'm looking forward to that and see what the outcome of that is. Slight changes to the golf course hours. If you didn't see it on Facebook, we do that basically with one person. So we've adjusted the hours on Monday. We don't open for the public until 10 o'clock to give him time to do the chemical spraying and some of the things he hasn't been able to get to. So we'll see what the impact that is, but hopefully it's the customers understand. So just on Mondays, we'll be open at 10 o'clock. Something I wanted to bring up to the board, see if they want me to continue down this path. We've talked about this, I think, before. Timers out at Fullerton Fields. It's $4,600 was a quote that we got to put a timer on 2 of the fields that would allow the soccer teams to practice after dark. So I want to know if that's something the board wants me to pursue just on that field. You want me to try to see what it is to get timers on all of them. We can do that. So just looking for feedback on the board. But $4,600 is roughly the cost for the I think that's fields 5 and 6 that would allow the soccer kids to practice after dark.
Where would that money come from?
It's something we'd have to look at. We could probably take it from insurance proceeds.
How will that work, sir?
You just go up there and hit the timer, and it would the lights would come on. It'd be set and turn off at a certain time. We'd probably put something on there so it wouldn't go past a certain hour, just for the residents that live around there.
Yeah, okay.
But that allow the people that are using the fields to utilize the timer, and we wouldn't have to send our crews out at overtime to turn them on.
So a question I have on that is that was one of the conversations we had is, overtime for.
Right.
Would
That's
we
right.
spend $4,600 in overtime for somebody turning on and off?
I mean, over time you would, but no. I mean, it would take quite a while to get to that point.
And then I thought the solution was they were going to kind of show the coaches how to turn on the lights and turn off the lights, and the coaches if they needed
We'd be
the
more
lights.
comfortable if there was a timer, opposed to just allowing people to come, people just to turn them on, turn them off without our control. At least we can somewhat control it with the timer.
Further discussion? Will that require a vote, or will there just a sense
Just
of?
if that's something the board wishes for the staff to pursue, we can do that.
Okay, I mean,
The
okay.
one timer for Fullerton Fields.
For 2 of the fields. If we
One
want to do
timer
all,
works
if we
both
want to
ways.
do all the fields, it would cost more. The
So-
fields that we'd be using the timers on are the ones that the soccer practices on, and they would allow them to to continue the soccer practice after dark.
Okay.
This was a suggestion. We've talked about this with one of the aldermen. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that the board as a whole agrees to us pursuing this.
Further discussion? Any comments?
I'd like to see where we'd pull that money from. So, and
We have proceeds from
Yeah.
insurance from
and so the
parks to pay for
timers,
that.
the coaches would just go
You'd
like
hit the timer.
hit a button and
Mhm.
then okay.
And again, we would schedule it so at a certain you couldn't go out there at 2:00 in the morning and activate it. We would set limits on it.
Do we know if the demand, and maybe you would know this, but with the sun setting later, do we continue to have the demand for use of the lights? Like, is there just a few months in the spring and the fall that we would see the demand for the use, or is it even in the summer we're wanting to stay out?
Oh, it literally is for early spring and then late summer, fall, where in the spring it's dark quickly into practice. In the fall, as the season gets on, it starts getting dark.
Yeah.
Typically, if I could answer,
yeah.
follow up to that, during the baseball season, our staff would be out there because it takes a lot of people to run it, and we would have the people in place to do that.
And would most of the individuals wanting to use the fields when lights would be beneficial be scheduling in advance the usage of those fields?
They schedule, and
because they're pretty.
That is a system we set in place.
Right.
Because before we brought this, the coaches would have to call the rec center and let us know that they planned on practicing after dark,
Right.
so we could have somebody out there to facilitate that.
Right. I like the idea of the lights, but if it sounds like it's a pretty narrow window of time in the spring and the fall, that's going to be even longer before we tip the scales on the overtime that we're using to pay someone. And if people are booking in advance and not on the spur of the moment going out and then wishing they could, have the lights be on, I'm certainly open to hearing how we would fund it. But I think Dusty's point is valid that.
We could put it in next year's
Yeah.
budget. That's easy. Or we could use insurance proceeds.
Did you put a bid out, or did you just research? Or?
Just did some research, called
Okay.
a local electrician to kind of get an idea how much it would cost.
Okay. I'd be curious to see if it would be less or more affordable at another vendor. I have no clue. It would just,
I would say it'd be pretty close to that.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But we
do
can definitely do that.
Is it the wish of the board to nod yes, or would you want to make a vote of approval?
I think it sounded like we wanted to pause on that a little bit.
Yeah,
Or
for
a
now,
little
'cause
pause?
there's time.
Is it?
Yeah, because there's time, I think we're okay with a little bit of a pause on this. We don't have to worry about this until later in the fall.
M-
Can
Maybe.
we maybe revisit this back in August or so?
Sure, absolutely.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
Can
Okay.
you track a little bit exactly how many times it's necessary, how much we're actually paying overtime? I mean, is it like once a week, or is it twice a week, 3 times a week? How many times is it actually needed to have
So-
the lights on?
Okay, can do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, continuing on, just for information, the summer food program, we help with that at Cribbs Park. So that starts July 6th and runs through August 14th. So we'll have some of our staff will be helping out with that. It's a great initiative. The RFQ for the Buffalo Road connection to 132nd Street, that's out right now. So hopefully we'll be bringing that to the board in the second meeting in June to make a decision on who the engineer would be to look at the engineering design for that intersection. Mr. Brown sent out the email to Liberty Utilities based on the guidance from the board, so hopefully we'll be hearing from them soon as far as the sales tax, the franchise fees, and some other information that the board requested. If you haven't seen it, please take a look at our new clerk customer service area. It looks really nice in there. So that was all done in-house by our staff with the exception of a few things. So I'd like to thank everybody that was part of that. And then lastly, before I introduce Chief Johns, a big shout out to Rhett. I don't know if everybody saw the front entrance here. It looks really nice. And if you've been by Newhart Park, he did a really nice job cleaning that up, planting flowers and doing some other stuff in anticipation for the summer and our ceremony there. So thanks to Rhett and his crew for all they do to make things look nice. So if you don't have any questions for me, I'd like to introduce Chief Johns, and he's going to brief the board on the annual review of the police department.
Outstanding. Good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Welcome, Chief.
Here's our 2025 annual report.
As you can see in the beginning of the report, and you've got the full printed report, I believe. Got our mission statement. So our leadership team 2025, we've got a vacant lieutenant position for about the second half of last year. We're in the early processes of filling that vacant position. We hope to have that process by July 1. And so over the rest of last year and the beginning of this year, we spread those duties around. Lieutenant Roger Barron stepped up and took a good portion of some of those responsibilities, covering both investigations and operations. But a lot of that, again, has been spread around a lot of other folks as well. But I just want to give him a shout out for helping a great deal in that coverage last year. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you. And the next section, police reports last year, 1,006 reports, 2025. The top 3 call types in which we were writing reports were stealings, domestic assaults, and mental health. 374 total arrests. We've got a graphic that shows the vehicles used by the department. We've got it broken up by operations. It's basically our patrol officers, investigations, administration, support services, school resource, canine vehicle, and then our animal services vehicles. A couple of points on investigations that Lieutenant Barron shared. Thank you to Proposition Public Safety. They were able to add an additional investigator, and that either happened at the end of 24 or beginning of 25. Our investigations section focuses mostly on crimes against children. Crimes against children are very complicated cases, and they take quite a bit of time to work through all those details. And so that's one of the main focuses of those detectives, although they do take other serious crimes as well and take those to fruition. We were able to finally get the Celebrite program fully functional. We had some technical issues that we were able to work together with RIT here at the city and then the Celebrite company. We were able to work through all of those. And so now that program is fully functional and has been for a little bit, and we've been using that. And again, to kind of remind everybody that that name is the program that we use to help with investigations on phones. And so if we were able to get a search warrant on a particular phone to get, say, evidence of a child crime or something like that, then that is greatly helpful. Reduces the downtime that there's significant downtime of sending phones off to some of the other labs, that sort of thing. So that's been very helpful for us. And then also better communication thanks to our community crime map and our PIO. Also just a note on this slide about property and evidence, 307 pieces of property. We're into our property and evidence this year. There's more details in the full report. And then community crime map. So there's a QR code on the website, and through this program you can view the map and the grid with all the crimes in Bolivar. Citizens of Bolivar can sign up for neighborhood watch reports, and they can get emailed breakdowns of recent crime activity. And also through this process with LexisNexis, we can also have folks submit anonymous crime tips directly to the police department. So I think that's a really good service. So our canine program, last year, 2025, 35 deployments, 33 seizure incidents, and 22 arrests. They've got it in your full program, and then up on the screen we've got it kind of broken down by month. 94% of the paraphernalia indicators, there were 15 seizure incidents off of those. And then on the drug indications, 88% of the drugs that we're pulling is methamphetamine. Had just a little bit of fentanyl this last year and some prescription drugs. And then on to Animal Services. Animal Services had a busy year last year, 514 calls, took in 138 animals, 115 dogs, 23 cats. We were able to successfully adopt out 13. We work really closely with many different rescues across not only here locally in Polk County, but then many other regions as well. And we were able to send out 48, combination of dogs and cats, to other rescues. We were able to return 56 animals to their owners over the course of the year. And then last year, we were able to get on board with a program that the governor had started called the Blue Shield City or Blue Shield Communities, and we became a Blue Shield City last year and got awarded a grant last year through that program for $50,000. And that particular grant, you may remember, this was about last July, beginning of August, somewhere around in there. We approved through the board to use that particular year's grant for the flock safety cameras. And so they are getting pretty close to ready to get online. We're in the final processes of finishing up our internal policies and doing all the internal training and that sort of thing. And then I can give the board additional details whenever they're ready to begin. And I've seen a little bit of communication out there as to some confusion of what the flock cameras are and what they do, and some concerns that folks have. And so I just wanted to give just a really super brief for tonight, a super brief overview, and we can go into more detail later at a separate meeting if you want, whenever we get closer to them being operational. But what flock cameras are, they're specialized automated license plate recognition cameras that scan and record license plates on passing vehicles. They use image recognition to additionally identify not only just the plate, but just also other vehicle details like make, model, color, body type, and any other unique features on the vehicle. And they create basically a quote-unquote fingerprint of the vehicle that can be useful if the plate is missing or it's obscured in some way. So they capture license plates from positioning so that they will normally catch the rear of the vehicle. They work day or night. They've got infrared, low light conditions. The data is certainly a concern to some folks. The data is stored by being transmitted securely to cloud storage with Amazon Web Services. It uses advanced encryption, multi-layered security, role-based access controls. What role-based access controls mean is the data is owned by the customer, and the city of Bolivar would be the customer for all data that is gathered by the flock cameras that we have here. So it is owned by Bolivar. Role-based access means people at flock don't get to see our data unless we allow them to see our data, and only folks who have been given permissions are able to see that data. Default retention for the data is 30 days, which means unless we have specifically flagged the system to look for a very specific thing, as an example, if I have a serious crime and I've got information of a particular vehicle description being connected to a particular serious crime, I could flag the system and we could try to find that vehicle. If we could have something
Chief,
that's...
Does
yes,
this mean
yes, sir.
that it wouldn't have the information that authorities had gathered would be a description of the automobile?
That is correct.
But not a description of the license plate number itself. I mean, a description of the automobile, color, make, model, and so on.
It would also have the license plate
would
as well.
Would be available. The system would be able to digest that and track that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, even if we don't have the license plate number, it can additionally take those details off of a vehicle.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. But default retention is 30 days. So as I said, if I flagged something, I gave the criminal example, there was a specific crime that we're investigating. But another example would be if there's an Amber Alert or there's a Silver Alert. And so we have a missing child, or we have a missing, a missing elderly person with Alzheimer's, something like that. If we have those situations go out, we send out details through all of our other communications between different police departments. But what this system will do is when I put that description of the vehicle owned by the person that we're looking for, then it'll flag and we'll be able to know if it drives past one of the cameras, we know where it was at that particular time. It does not do facial recognition. It does not have anybody's personal identifiers captured, anything like that. It specifically focuses on the data of the vehicles. And then when I described, the Silver Alert, the criminal situations, I talked about that right after I said that the default retention is 30 days, meaning if I put something in the system, it's only going to check those last 30 days worth of data, and then data is erased after that automatically. And I could care less about any of the other data. I have no interest in any of the other data unless it's data that we're specifically looking for and we specifically put into the system. So the other data, none of that is going to be kept at all unless it is linked to one of our patrol reports. And so, of course, some of the benefits, of course, to safety for Bolivar would be the things that I was just talking about, the missing persons, additionally being able to find, a suspect vehicle attached to a violent crime. If we have even something happen outside of town, we have a violent crime in Springfield and they start heading north on 13. The reason that we place the cameras where we place the cameras is we wanted to see when dangerous things are coming into our town. The faster we know about it, the faster we can intercept it so that there's not a problem inside of Bolivar. And then when it comes to, again, privacy, all data systems, of course, they risk abuse, but Flock logs every single user activity. It tracks all the keystrokes, it tracks all the admins, it tracks anything that we do with the system, so everything is tracked. Captured data, when it comes to specifics on the vehicles and the license plate, we have access to all that anyway through Department of Revenue. And then a comparison that is a lot of times given is that mobile carriers and all of our smartphones, they collect and sell quite a bit of the data that we have on our cell phones in our own pockets. But Flock is not allowed to do any of that. They're not allowed to sell any data. And again, they don't access our data because it's our data. And again, it goes away automatically in every 30 days unless we've specifically captured it and flagged it for a criminal or other safety violation. So I just wanted to give that quick kind of overview of what Flock is, because I know we'd had some questions on that. And again, before we go online, if the board wants to go into a little bit more detail, I'm happy to do that. We partnered with the DEA on a national program called the Drug Take Back. We've been doing that here in Bolivar for quite a few years. Drug abuse is a serious problem across the nation. Millions and millions of prescriptions are misused. A lot of them are pain relievers. Some are misused prescription stimulants. And millions are prescription tranquilizers and sedatives. And so the Drug Take Back program is one that is very, very helpful to get those completely out of our streets so that they can't be stolen and abused by folks. And this year, 2025, 266 pounds of those drugs were taken back and sent to the DEA for destruction. CIT is a program that we're very proud of here. As you saw earlier on our calls for service, the third highest number of call type is mental crisis. whether it be suicide attempts or suicidal ideations or significant depression or other types of crisis that are stemmed through severe mental illness. We are on the forefront of crisis intervention here. We have a higher percentage of officers at the Bolivar Police Department trained in crisis intervention training than most police departments. We're about between 80 and 90% of our commissioned officers are fully trained in crisis intervention, and we're working towards that becoming 100% over the course of the next year. Really proud of our partnerships with many different agencies, and that's a community together project that we work on with several other entities. And then community events. We participate in, of course, all the community events of Bolivar. Bolivar is just such a wonderful town where we are celebrating something always, and I just absolutely love it. There's a bunch of them that we do all throughout the year. There's a couple of them highlighted here. We have a few of them that actually become kind of fundraisers, and the ones that become fundraisers then help fund Shop with a Cop, which is one of our community events near the end of the year. Last year, the Shop with a Cop, we were able to serve 158 kids, not only from Bolivar, but also the surrounding communities. And that's just a really special event. And then also last year, we did some life-saving awards near the end of the year. Corporal Stillings, Corporal Gilmore, and Officer Adams were all recognized for directly contributing to the survival of individuals that were involved in cardiac arrests, and they were able to get those heartbeats started again while they were on scene, and were able to make a difference in folks' lives and get them in that ambulance. So we're really proud of them. And then 2025 also held a couple of big retirements. Chief Mark Webb had been here for 11 years, and he retired at the beginning of the year. And then Dwayne Lockhart had been here for 45 years. That is absolutely tremendous. I don't think we're going to see 45-year retirement again. It would be pretty amazing if that were to happen again. But that was a very special moment as well. And then the last couple of slides, we had a departmental promotion last year. Officer Jordan Nelson was in an acting corporal role for almost a full year when we made that no longer an acting position and promoted him to a full corporal in July of last year. And then new hires. The beginning of 2025, we were 7 down from our authorized strength, and we worked really hard and got some really good quality officers to help join our force, and there's some of them up on the screen. And then also we work with volunteers at the police department as well, and in 2025 one volunteer worked a total of 67 hours for the department, and then we also had a student intern from Southwest Baptist University who worked 215 hours of volunteer work. Something special about that particular individual is that what started as an internship and a volunteer then transformed and evolved into a part-time employee for the police department in the non-commissioned civilian role, who then is about to, starting next Monday, evolve into going to the police academy and being hosted by us to the Drury Law Enforcement Academy. And in December, it will hopefully evolve into full-time law enforcement on field training. Wow. So we're excited about that. I think that's a really great way to kind of grow our own officers, and we select people who are connected to this particular community and grow them into the position of law enforcement. Hopefully those things will work out really well, and then we'll have a great officer for a really long time. So that's what we're looking forward to. And that is my yearly report.
Questions and comments from the board? Seeing none.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you.
Officer Johns, we kind of fall over ourselves, and we can't believe that we are so fortunate to have you, and we were appreciate the wonderful work that you've been doing and raising the level of professionalism in our police force.
Well, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Relford?
No, sir.
Okay.
Not from me.
Okay, questions and comments concerning the administrator's report?
One comment I got real quick.
Sure.
You put a sales tax breakdown in the packet this go around. I really appreciated that because it's, without taking the time to go in and look at all that and do that calculations ourselves, it was nice to be able just to see that and have it right there. So I appreciate you doing that and putting it in the packet.
Okay, thanks for that feedback.
Absent further comments, I'm entertaining a motion for approval of the administrator's report.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We have approved the administrator's report. On to old business. I'm opening up the discussion for the naming of the Vineyard Dog Park.
Chief, could you pull up the graphics, please? Thank you. Yeah, just to recap, and while he pulls up the graphics, staff did a really nice job of putting together some really neat concept photos of what the dog park's going to look like. Just a reminder to the viewers, this is on Boston, kind of right behind Stella Realty, kind of across the street from the restaurant there in Aldi's. So you got a small dog park and a large dog park. Quite a lot of work to be done here. We've done some kind of projections and some timelines. We hope to get some stuff started in June. So in June, we're hoping to get the parking lot, retaining wall, ramp, stairs, and entryway completed. So really a good portion of what needs to get done at the dog park there. And just as a reminder, the board budgeted $20,000 last year and $20,000 this year towards the cause. So we haven't really dipped into it too much yet. And then we have money raised over 23,000 from a group, a committee of citizens that are dog lovers that have gone out and really hit the streets hard and raised money. So between what we've budgeted, you've budgeted, and what they have, we have over $60,000 that we can use on this great project. So just as a recap, Mr. Thane Kiefer donated the land. That process is done, the deed process, so it's now ours. And so really at this point, all we're looking at from the board is to actually approve the name of the dog park as a Vineyard Dog Park.
And we're understanding that Mr. Kiefer suggested that it be the Vineyard Dog Park.
That's correct, Mayor.
Suggestions, comments, alternatives?
I think we ought to go with what the person that donated the land.
I think maybe that would be very appropriate. So with that, I'm entertaining a motion for the approval of the dog park being named the Vineyard Dog Park.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have now named the dog park the Vineyard Dog Park.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Elford, get us up to date on the time capsule,
Okay,
please, sir.
so the time capsule. Of course, it's the 250th anniversary, and we're preparing for that. We've kind of changed our dates a little bit, so bear with me on this one. So now we're looking at June 30th, which is a Tuesday at 6 o'clock for the ceremony at Newhart Park. June 30th at 6 o'clock. It's a Tuesday. We're still working through the details on the ceremony itself, but we think it's going to consist of a couple speakers and the placement of the items in the container by the community groups and citizens, et cetera, who are going to participate in that.
And I want to make it clear to everyone everywhere, all the people in Bolivar, that we're looking for items that are to be included in there.
Mhm.
There's a lot of room, and kind of the theme is more or less a snapshot of our community as it is, and somewhat as it was. And so we're really kind of appealing for people to bring forward items that they would like to be included in there that would be in harmony with that type of theme.
Yes, sir. So the plan is after that, we would all, who's ever interested, we'd come back here at 7 o'clock, and Coyle Neal, who some of you might know, a political scientist, historian, and professor, who's really a smart fellow and fun to talk to, has agreed to do a lecture series for the community. And so the first part would be an hour here after that, and then he would come back on July 2nd at 6 o'clock to do the second half of the lecture series. So he's been gracious enough to share his time and wisdom with us on the founding of our country.
Yeah.
So, as the mayor alluded to, we're working hard at reaching out to organizations, community groups, and nonprofits for time capsule items. So we've, Jill mainly sent emails, we've contacted groups, individuals, posted on Facebook, and plan to run an article in the newspaper soliciting items and informing the community about this great ceremony. Items should be focused on the theme of the anniversary and give the future residents a snapshot of Bolivar 2026. So items might include photos, yearbooks, flyers, brochures, list of businesses, unique trinkets or items that represent a snapshot, clothing like maybe a jersey. So things like that it'd be neat to look at 50 years from now. I know the city will be putting stuff together. Well, like for example, we're going to be taking a photo of the board and putting that in there. And then we're going to do specific, specific departmental items. So I know the police department, they're going to put some equipment in there, just like the fire department. So we're all trying to participate in that. Right now, we have commitments from the hospital, Polk County Health, the Bolivar School District, Chamber of Commerce, SBU, and others who are going to participate in the time capsule. And just as a reminder, this is a pretty good size vault. It's like a normal adult casket, so 84 inches long, 30 inches high.
Lots of room for lots of stuff.
I think we can fit a lot of stuff in there. In addition to the actual ceremony with the time capsule, we're working on a kids' bike parade in conjunction with the Rotary on July 4th at their activities on SBU campus. And then we're working with the Polk County Library to promote books about our country's inception and reward kids for checking out and reading books in exchange for like a one-day pool pass at the pool. So we're trying to get kids involved and do some other stuff. We can't do everything. We have a pretty small staff, but we want to definitely put some focus. This is a big anniversary, and we want to make it special. So any questions about that? Again, June 30th will be our ceremony.
Questions and comments from the board?
So one question I have about Coyle coming in. Have we promoted, because this is the first I've heard, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Of course, yeah. So, I want to get the board's approval first that you're okay with us. One, the date change, because we initially we were going to do it right before a meeting in June, but we've pushed it back. But yes, we'll be pushing that information out hard to the community to get as many people here as we can.
For a reason it was changed?
Yeah, we thought it'd be better to do it the week of the July 4th.
Questions and comments? Thank you, Mr. Relford. I think we're looking forward to all this and hope that people in the community will respond and bring lots of stuff.
Yeah, so again, if you want to participate in the time capsule, please reach out to me, Jill Way, just reach us on Facebook, whatever, and we'll be happy to talk to you and talk about what we can get in there.
Okay.
I think that's it for me.
Anything further?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm going to open up the floor for a discussion of the school zone speed limit. Questions and comments from the board?
A couple, I know last meeting we had somebody come in and was concerned with being 15 miles an hour instead of 20, 25, and he actually thinks that hurts people. Hey, I'm not going to do 15 because it's so slow, and then they go 25, 30. So he actually requested us to raise it to 20, which I think is uniform with what the school has on there. I've talked to some people, of course, Last time this came up, I was one that didn't want to raise it, so I asked for it to be on the agenda. And I mean, I personally think it should be moved up to 20 miles an hour from 15 miles an hour. So, and keep it uniform with the schools. So,
I mean, do we have a place specific for this particular change? I mean, is it just out on Hartford, next to the school area? I mean, is that the item up for discussion?
so I think Kyle is
The previous, like Alderman Ross is referring to, I think in September of 24, I think it was, we discussed this and we had purchased some new signs. So it included Hartford, the section of Division that ran from Hartford to D, and then Laird on the north side that ran from Hartford to
Okay.
D.
So if we approve this tonight, it'll be clear precisely where these areas are that.
Well, it's signed now. If the board, I went back and looked at that just to see that similar detail and all. If the board ultimately wants to make that change, like it's being discussed, we would need to purchase some new signage. I think it's roughly $2,500 in signage, and then we would have to install those. Obviously, I mean the
Yeah.
time and all of
Yeah,
ordering those and installing them. But as far as
Yeah, I think we all know. I think we all know what it means. But
Yeah.
if we're going to make a motion and make an approval, I want to be certain that there's enough specificity that it doesn't get confused when we implement it.
if the board's understanding is that those locations that I just mentioned, then that would be my understanding. But of course, if the board intends something different than what I just mentioned, I would be happy to hear that.
Okay, Counselor, how would a motion be worded to be sure that it is specific enough?
Oh, I mean, ideally, you would want the name of the street and the intersections or sections of that street to which the speed limit would apply, and then whatever speed limit is recommended.
Or would you just want to, could it be just a motion that says the currently marked 15-mile-an-hour speed limit signs should be replaced by 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs?
Do we want to change in front of middle school too?
I was going to ask that question as
What
well.
was that again, please?
The middle school also has a school speed limit in front of the middle school right over here. So if we wanted to have that change also to 20 or keep it at 15, that might be useful information to decide.
Well, what is the what's the consensus of the board? How do you want to do this?
If I could make a recommendation, the roadways are different in those areas. When the staff recommended in September of 24 the 20 miles per hour for the area we're talking about now near the high school and elementary school and that area, that we did not recommend at that time changing the other location.
By the middle school,
By the middle school, increasing that. The roadways are different. The trajectories of the road are different. Just the width of the road, all of it. They're different locations, and even obviously Hartford is the one that was primary point of conversation. But even Division and Laird, those roadways are, more appropriate. I
Okay.
think for that 20 mile.
All right. Well, I'm still kind of searching for the specificity on this, the wording specificity on it.
Can I ask a couple
Yes,
more
go
questions
ahead,
to the
please.
substance before we get into how we want to execute the substance? So Kyle, do you have any concerns about school zones having different speed limits in different parts of town? As far as
No.
people thinking, oh, it's school zone, I thought school zones were 15, or I thought school zones were 20 or 25. As far as consistency, that's not something you're concerned about.
No, and even in this area on D Highway, the speed limit is 45
Right.
during the school zone time frame, and I wouldn't have any. No, the roadways would be a bigger determiner of what would be normative.
And then just to make sure that I'm super clear, the staff recommendation for the roads that would be up for changing is consistent with the proposed change.
Yes, the 20 mile per hour. Yeah,
Because
like
I
Alderman
certainly
Ross
want to
referenced.
defer and have a certain amount of deference for residents' requests, but we may sometimes see a resident request for a speed limit change that is not reflective of best practices for that roadway. So that's why I wanted to make sure, from staff perspective, from a traffic management perspective, that this is a good fit for that particular stretch of road, and you're saying that staff's recommendation is to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Lee, could you give specifically those areas that we are changing from 15 to 20? So the motion that we make when it is approved can be clear without some later confusion.
But I think, as Alderman Neal recommended there, or requested, that any of the signs within the school district area, bounded on the south by Division, on the north by Laird, on the west by Hartford, would be changed from their current indication of 15 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour.
Okay, Counselor, do you think that's specific enough?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's say that again. Okay. Okay.
Well, it got recorded, so. Yes, the school zone near Bolivar High School and elementary school, bounded on the south by Division, on the west by Hartford, and on the north by Laird, would be signage changed from the current 15 mile per hour to 20 mile per hour.
Okay.
If that's acceptable to the board.
For the areas, for the streets now restricted to 15 miles an hour speed limit, south, bounded on the south by Division, on the west by Hartford, and on the north by Laird.
Yes, sir.
Counselor, do you believe that that is specific enough to go on record?
Yes, sir, I do. And when it's accompanied by the signage change, that would satisfy me, sir.
Okay. Do I need to say that again? I am entertaining a motion for the speed limit signs now at 15 miles an hour to be changed to 20 miles an hour on the streets near the high school campus, on streets south, bounded on the south by Division, on the west by Hartford, and on the north by Laird. I believe that to be specific, that to be clear, Counselor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is the motion that I am requesting.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We have changed the
Call for nays?
so designated streets.
I don't think we called for nays on that one.
Thank you.
We didn't call
Okay.
for them.
On the new business, I'm entertaining a motion for the approval for the first reading bill number 2026-33.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor,
This is bill number 2026-33, ordinance number 4140, an ordinance readopting the city code for the city of Bolivar as to section 117.010 relating to conflicts of interest in the governing body.
discussion.
Why do we need to readopt this?
Well, I think this is just something that the legislature requires us
Because
to.
Jeff said he says we have to do it.
Every-
Okay.
every-
I think it's every 2 years, right, Dawn?
That's fine. I figured it was something
Every
like
2
this.
years.
Yep.
Thanks.
And I assume that
Blame you.
the definition of the conflict were described in the packlet if you have not read it.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
Second reading.
Second.
Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-33, ordinance number 4140, an ordinance readopting the city code for the city of Bolivar as to section 117.010 relating to conflicts of interest of the governing body.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Neal,
Aye.
Rains.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Sawyer.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2026-33. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-34.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-34, ordinance number 4141, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Great River Associates Incorporated for engineering services related to an approved transport alternatives program project numbered TAP 9901705.
Okay, discussion? Questions?
This,
Seeing none?
Kyle, want to tell
me
us?
to just clarify, this is phase 4 of the Springfield
Yeah, I'm
Avenue.
sorry, yes. Mr. Lee, I'm sorry, I was
No-
going to call on you.
No problem, Mr. Mayor. This is phase 4 of the Springfield Avenue sidewalk project. This phase primarily is the crosswalk portion there at the Walmart current light. That will be part of the design of this, will be to create a 4-way crosswalk in that location.
Okay. Further discussion from the board and questions? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading.
Second reading.
Second.
Okay, Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-34, ordinance number 4141, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Great River Associates Incorporated for engineering services related to an approved transportation alternatives program project number TAP 9901705.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ross.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Aye.
Rains. Price.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Sawyer.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2026-34. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-35.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-35, ordinance number 4142, an ordinance amending the Bolivar Municipal Code by amending section 410.260 regarding supplementary zoning district regulations as to certain recreational equipment and trailers.
Mr. Lee, could you elaborate, please?
Yes, I would be happy to. So this was brought through our Planning and Zoning Commission, both related to some concern of clarity for our code enforcement, as well as just bringing that conversation of the original intent. So the section originally referenced trailers only, trailers which did include the description of ATV trailers, UTV trailers, that type of item, but it did not specifically state the ATV separate from the trailer or the UTV separate from the trailer. So after some concern from some citizens and discussions within our code enforcement, we felt it was better not left just to staff interpretation, and we brought that question to the Planning and Zoning Commission, discussed it, brought it as a draft format at another meeting, and then brought it as a public hearing at a third meeting, and this was ultimately the recommendation was to include those terms in the existing regulations. So nothing else has changed except for adding or delineating those devices or those pieces of equipment, ATV, UTV, that type of equipment.
Comments from the board?
Would off-road recreational vehicles, would golf carts be included in that?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Further comments and questions? Seeing none, I'm entertaining motion for the second reading of Bill number 2026-35.
Second reading.
Second.
Madam Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-35, ordinance number 4142, an ordinance amending the Bolivar Municipal Code by amending section 410.260 regarding supplementary zoning district regulations as to certain recreational equipment and trailers.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Rains.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Sawyer.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we have approved Bill number 2026-35. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-36.
First reading.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-36, ordinance number 4143, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 575 North Lemon Avenue in Bolivar, Missouri.
Mr. Lee, please elaborate.
Yes, this is a zoning change application from the applicant and the current owner. This is a change requested from CO, as you see indicated, to agriculture or AL. It's bounded on the north and on the east by the agricultural as well. Those were some things of note in the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it was recommended for approval, I believe unanimously, from Planning and Zoning.
As I recall, it brings it into compliance with the other properties around us, and that
It would bring it into
Chairman?
it would bring it into similarity, but it's in compliance in either setting. It's in compliance now. It would be in compliance with the zoning change.
Okay,
as
that's
well.
why I remember it from the
Yes, sir.
from the zoning board. Further discussion from the board? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of bill number 2026-36.
Second reading?
Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-36, ordinance number 4143, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 575 North Lemon Avenue in Bolivar, Missouri.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved bill number 2026-36. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of bill number 2026-37.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-37, ordinance number 4144, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 2015 South Morrisville Road in Bolivar, Missouri.
Mr. Lee, could you bring us up to date, please?
Yes, the applicant is here, so certainly let him speak to the application and those that are on planning and zoning as well. But I can summarize briefly. This is an application that's similar to what the board has seen before. The request is to rezone the portion of the lot shown that is currently zoned R1 to MHD for manufactured housing district, essentially to extend the existing zoning into the rest of that lot. The last time this came before the board, one of the points of question or request was to detail what items in the current location are compliant with the regulations and what items are not compliant with the regulations. And so what follows in the application is the applicant's drawing, their graphic, and then also the wording from the city's code section as it relates to MHD. And then you'll see that color-coded. The highlights in blue show areas that the current park there is compliant. Those highlighted in yellow show areas that the current park is not in compliance. And then you'll see in red written throughout would be the requests from the applicant of how they may be increasing or decreasing the restrictions on the MHD-P. So this is a plan development. And so you see, I'll use, for instance, the first on E1, the current location is compliant with the amount of units, of trailer units that are allowed per acre. The applicant has done the math, and we've worked with them, with the applicant as well, and it's an accurate statement to say per the code. He says, I'm authorized 36 trailers. I propose 31 trailers and 2 RV spots, and he goes on there. But that is the description there that would then restrict the zoning to that 31, if it's approved, of course. But it can, so sometimes that detail will restrict further. Sometimes the detail is requesting something that is not in the code. So you may want to go through each of those with the applicant. The Planning and Zoning Commission did that, went through each of these. I think Alderman Neal and Alderman Sagerster and Mary, you guys were there. You could speak to any of those conversations. And I will say there were a couple of noted changes from the P&Z that were requested, that the applicant was requested to make change, and those are reflected in the description with an underline. The applicant did agree to submit his application with those changes, and so that's reflected there as well. So,
Will the applicant want to come forward and present the case more or less as we had it presented at the Planning and Zoning?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much we want to rehash here. We've been seeing each other a couple times here. So, my name is Martin Tyler. I'm one of the owners of the Bolivar Mobile Home Park. We bought the place about 6 months ago. We've done some cleanup. We had to deal with a bunch of tenant issues the last month or so. So the park kind of got out of line a little bit. But once all the notices and stuff kind of expired, then we were able to kind of go in there and finish up cleanup. So my team's been there the last 3 or 4 days getting it all cleaned up again. So working through a couple of evictions and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, as Kyle said, his team's been awesome helping me through this. And so I'm happy to answer any questions. You know, I think the park is much more in compliant as it sits than we originally kind of all thought, I think. And so Kyle and I have worked with that. And then, you know, each one that isn't in compliance, you know, I've either said it will be in compliance at the end, or, you know, here's where it's not in compliant and here's why, kind of thing. And I'm happy to, you know, make some changes if that's what the board sees.
And I think that if
Yeah, I think one of the things that would be helpful is to frame the discussion. And Kyle, you can correct me if I have this wrong. So what we have before us is your proposal with the edits made by Planning and Zoning.
Mm-hmm.
So this board could approve that plan. This board could just reject that plan and say no to the zoning change application. Or this board could layer its own red line edits on top of what Planning and Zoning has done in order to approve it and make it to where the board is comfortable with it. And then Mr. Tyler would have the option of whether he wanted to agree. We can't just unilaterally make him do stuff, but we could say, if you want this zoning change, this is what it would have to look like. Kyle, is that a fair description of our choices tonight?
I believe so.
Yeah, so what we did in Planning and Zoning was just go through the different areas that had been mentioned by individual aldermen at previous meetings, and discuss with the Planning and Zoning Commission. This version, if you've looked at it at all, you'll see it does not necessarily match some of the comments that were made by the board, but this is the version that the Planning and Zoning Commission exercised its independent judgment and approved this, knowing that it would come to this body for additional edits until this body was comfortable with it or voted down or accepted. So hopefully that helps us to frame the discussion. If there's something you don't like and you would vote yes if it were different, you can pitch that red line edit and we can go from there. And if I can do what I did at Planning and Zoning and just sort of go item by item, that's what we did. Was we said, you know, parking 2, his proposal was 2 spots, 1 paved, 1 not paved. And did we say yes or no, and got the kind of head nods around the room, and we just went item by item. And if you look through, you can see the underlines. I think we didn't have very many changes. It was requiring paved walkways rather than gravel walkways. It was setting a minimum size for the playground, and then noting that none of the trailers in the newly zoned portion would be eligible for occupancy until after the infrastructure was installed, with the exception of the playground and the fence, and those had to just be installed within 2 years of approval. But other than that, the application, as he proposed it, was approved by that body. And I'm happy to answer any questions about how that discussion went or help guide the discussion however this body would like, but that's where we are at this point.
And I'm trying to ride a fine line of there's an existing park and I want the new to sort of match what's there. And so we've got to try to come up with a little bit of a variance to try to help that.
And I think that one of the things that kind of we've sort of held out over the head of this is that until the stipulations became compliant, that occupancy would be denied. It has to be
Has to be
it has to
compliant.
has to be compliant before it would be allowed to have occupancy.
Correct. And the final thing I'll lead with you is, we are full. We filled this trailer park up within the matter of a couple weeks. I get asked multiple times per week if there's more vacancy. The affordable housing that this sort of provides is a big need in the town, and so there's a big desire for it.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. A couple things I have, and I've been pretty consistent, from the get-go. And my biggest fear, and what we've talked about, is I personally would like to see the current park brought up to code before we did anything with the new park. Well, in your current proposal, it's the opposite. Like, we require 2 paved parking spots, and you're saying, well, the current one only has 1 and 1 gravel, so can we bring the new one to that standard? So that was my concern, is instead of raising what's there to a higher standard, we're trying to lower the standard of what's going to be there. And, I drove by the other day, and I don't even think that, I think there's just 1 spot for a trailer. I think the gravel spot is people park on the road. I don't think there's 2 spots on any of the current trailers unless they park in the grass or on the road.
Well, I think there used to be some gravel there. I mean, it's probably been covered up. But
And so that's my biggest reservation is, from day one, I've always said, get the current one up, then we'll talk about the second one. Number 2, the number of trailers. It has gone, I think the last meeting we talked about, hey, board members felt comfortable with 20 to 22, and it was, we could have this many. And I felt like the number when we first started talking was like in the 40s,
like 38 or
38. And so it was like, hey, we're going to be less than that.
It is always, we went into this before, when we first started that was when him and I did the math first, it was 28 to 32, and then we realized that we could fit 36 in there.
Sure, yeah.
So with this current layout, the way we have it, I'm still able to meet the code for spacing.
Sure.
So
and so our concern that we addressed was that's a lot in a small period, like maybe scale that number back. And it seems like every time we've met, instead of scaling the number back, it's gotten higher and higher and higher. And then I don't even know if we've talked about RV spots in any of our meetings. And this is just something that was thrown into this. Like when I got the packet and looked at it, it was the first time that I'd heard some potential RV spots. Well, then for me, when I think of RV spots, I think of, somebody temporarily potentially being there, which I know that if we've got Airbnbs and things like that, there's a whole separate ordinance for short-term rentals as opposed to long-term rentals. And can we do that? And, it seems like we gave specifics. I mean, I think I've probably been about as specific as I can be with what I would like to see. And it seems like it's gone the polar opposite direction. So that's my massive concern on it.
So to address those concerns, number 1, the code allows me, I believe it's 20% of the spots could be RV parks or RV spots. So that's the way the code is constructed. And so, me writing this down is I'm trying to saying I'm going to go well below what code allows and say, just let me have 2 spots. I increased the discussion that we had. I increased the numbers because I was able to actually do the spacing and decide that I can still meet the code, which is what I thought was the main concern of the board was we don't want everything crushed in together. And so the code says the spacing needs to be that, so I'm meeting the code there. So, I'm trying to meet the code every which way. And then to address your parking that's kind of where I'm stuck, is because I poured a concrete sidewalk because I was trying to bring the current one up, but because it was, bring it up better, and so I poured a concrete pad. So now if I put a concrete driveway there, I've got to bust up the concrete sidewalk that I just put in there to make a driveway be concrete. So that's why I said, hey, can I do gravel, since I've already done that? So it's just I'm trying to do what the board wants and then try to put it in a packet. Again, I'm happy to work with it. If you don't want RV spots, we'll figure it out.
My concern, it was bring the current one up to code so you can have the new one. And I understand that there's nothing saying you have to bring the current one up to code. But my fear was that there's going to be some, and it could potentially happen again, of, well, this is the way the current one is, so can I also do that with the new one? And we've already, that's kind of reared its head with the parking. And that's why bring the current one up, so that way you don't have to worry about bringing the new one below code. Like, I appreciate that, there are some things you're meeting that are code, but some things that, you're not going to meet. And to me, I've been extremely consistent with, I would like to see the old trailer park brought up to code before I vote to expand the current one. And with it's not being brought up to code, I'm still going to be in the same spot that I was the last 2 times.
And that's the purpose of this plan, is so that way we're on the same page of what do you want me to do with the old one versus the new one. And so that's kind of where I'm stuck in limbo. If I don't bring the current one up to what we decide, and I put in, the other however many trailers, like, I can't occupy them, and that's the leverage that the city has. I can't, you're like, I can put trailers there, but you can't let me have tenants there until I bring the rest of it up to code. And so I'm just kind of stuck in this limbo of, of make the existing one better, so that way you get the new one. But I don't know what you want me to do with the current one to make the next one done. If I do nothing but bring up the current one, then we're just kind of stuck in the same limbo. You know what I'm saying? Of me pouring the sidewalks because I thought we didn't have to meet all the codes, but we had to make it better.
So what I would say is we've had this conversation. I don't know that I think the only thing we've said, like, hey, that wouldn't make sense, is the fence, because you're like, I'd have to tear the fence down. Well, yeah, and the pouring of the road, because, hey, I'm going to hire a company, and if we're going to expand it, let's do that. But I think I feel like I kind of hammered home the parking spaces specifically at the last meeting. And so I don't know how much more open, and
right.
I specifically said, like, hey, I think all of them should have 2 concrete spaces. That was, like, I think probably word for word verbatim what I said at our last meeting. And now it's like, well, this one doesn't, so maybe this one doesn't have to have that. And so yeah. So I understand. I appreciate.
Do you want me to?
Everything.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I appreciate everything you've done, but yeah, that's all I've got.
Okay, I'm wanting
Further
to,
discussion?
yes, I'm wanting to know if this was not only compared to the 410.160, but also the P designation of 410.240, because they kind of have to go by both. The P designation does not lower the bar. It's in addition to.
It can, but it can.
The P designation layers on. It can change and
Layers
modify.
on.
It can modify. It is used to modify restrictions greater or lesser.
Mhm.
It modifies. It doesn't.
Well,
It does not only. It's been used before by the commission and the board to reduce setbacks. That would be a lessening of a restriction.
right, but we can also make them more strict.
Absolutely, it
Okay,
modifies
well,
them. Whether
the board
it's
kind of gave guidelines on what it was asking for at the last meeting when this came up. We wanted fewer trailers, we wanted paved parking spots, and your drawing is incomplete. It doesn't have everything, and I was fine with a hand-drawn, you didn't have to go to a computer, but it needs utilities, and it's the slope.
I don't know that we
Well, this
normally
is
would request that
intended-
at this stage.
This is intended to be preliminary.
But even in preliminary, it has to have, some of these, like the utility has to be,
Not in the preliminary is intended to be something that can be provided in this type of a format. The board ultimately can approve or deny it for whatever reasons ultimately that you decide. But this type of format is the intent of the code for an applicant to bring an application forward. Whether the board ultimately wants to
preliminary
approve
drainage
this.
plan in sufficient detail, direction flow, stormwater detention. It's in the P designation code. It
Correct.
specifically states, it doesn't say, okay, either or, and the board can ask for more or less on the plan, the drawing, the sketch. It gives guidelines on the sketch.
Yes, so before this goes into a final approval.
Well, this is on the preliminary.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that preliminary, the intent of that, both the commission and the board have, we can go back to, I don't know the exact date, Alderman Neal, you probably remember, we discussed this at Planning and Zoning and then at this board in great detail with the intent to allow an applicant to bring something of this level of detail so that they did not have to acquire the services of an architect or an engineer to supply the initial phase of the process. Again, I don't care about this application in the sense of what the board wants to do, the
Right.
board will do, but the intent of the process has been followed. And that was something that I know those that were on P&Z and those who were on the board when that change was made, and it was made for the very purpose of allowing an application of this level to come forward to the board to say, it's treated like a preliminary plat, to say, do you generally agree with the concepts that are presented here, understanding that there are some engineering requirements that and surveying
So he's
requirements
gonna pay
that
for the
will
engineer
have to
for the
be
final.
done. Correct.
And we can require that.
It is required.
Are you
Yes.
sure?
Yes, it's required. And that's exactly how we've approached it in other cases when we've
But
done this process.
I still think we're going over almost the exact same proposal that we've gone over 3 times before.
I don't think that
Just-
you're,
It
yeah,
hasn't changed
I-
substantively.
I understand. And I think there's a couple, I would say a couple of things. One is when we say the board gave guidance, I want us to be a little bit careful because individual members of the board gave their opinions.
Yes.
The majority of the board did not provide specific feedback.
And
So, so it's,
there was no objection to those.
no, I understand. The applicant was aware of that feedback. The applicant prepared the application that he wanted to prepare and brought it to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning was aware of the specific feedback provided by individual board members and approved this plan, again, knowing that that recommendation is just a recommendation and that this body would be free to say no. But I would say, Mr. Tyler has gotten that feedback. This is what he has produced in response to it. So we are free to redline it and say, I said 24, I meant 24, or I said 2 paved and I meant it, or whatever. If there's consensus, right, no one or two of us can do that. We're free to do that. We are also free to say, no, this is not a zoning change that we are interested in making and not make edits at all. Or again, we can approve it as it's written. But I would say, you're right, like the feedback was provided. This is the document that was generated in response.
It's I'll tell you, this guy's opinion is it's a struggle because one alderman says I want this, another alderman says I want that, and it's hard to come up with one core package to make all of the aldermen happy.
Right.
Not to point Mr. Sagisher out, but he was the biggest proponent of the trailer numbers, and then him and I had a discussion at the planning and zoning. I told him why I asked for 31. We kind of had a little bit back and forth, and he finally said yes. Again, I'm happy to go with the back and forth, but the biggest proponent of the trailers that I felt at the last meeting, him and I had a discussion, and
On that one.
and he came on board.
When he,
Again, if the 2 parking is the issue, like I'm happy to do it. I just want it all in this one document, so that way there's nothing that there's no ambiguity, and there's no ambiguity from one board member to the next, and there's no ambiguity from the planning and zoning to this board.
I
So
wasn't
if you guys
saying
just
that-
tell me exactly what you want, I'm happy to do it.
I wasn't saying that we were giving direction to him, like this is what has to happen.
No, but you, I mean,
But
yeah.
it would be no different than if we were talking to Thomas. He wanted guidance on should I proceed in this direction,
Well, it's
and
a
we
little
don't
different
vote
from
on
that,
it.
but
We
yeah.
just each individually.
No, I
just-
understand. I think part of the difficulty, and I don't mean to put myself in your shoes, but if he comes back and he says, here is the application Dusty asked for, but Justin didn't say anything. Justin had a secret goal of wanting something different, and now he's got 1 vote. He's got Dusty's vote. But he doesn't have Justin's vote or Ashley's vote or whatever, and so the difficulty becomes, he heard the information. I agree, and I told you at Planning and
She didn't
Zoning,
bring it up,
I
but then
said,
him and I had the
this does
conversation."
not match what the comments were that were made. It will be your job to make the pitch to the board about why this, that does not address, it does not match what was said by the people who spoke. And I specifically said, I was like, hey, these are the, and we went line by line and said, these are the things that were brought up by the board. this does not match those things. This is the application you want us to consider. Yes, it is. We did, and we passed it on. And I told him very clearly, like, there will be potentially an uphill challenge to try and get this through the board, given the feedback that was provided, at least by the people who spoke. Again, there may be people who are not interested in approving this regardless of what changes are made. I don't know where everyone is because we were giving informal feedback. But I think I do understand that it is a little bit challenging to know how much to cater to each articulated criteria.
I did 31 spots because I met the spacing zoning, and I thought that's what the board was concerned about. Me putting 36 trailers was going to cram them in there, and it's not in the code. And I'm telling you, with the math that I did and the math that somebody smarter than me did, it can meet the zone spacing requirements. And if I can't, then I'm going to be at the end, and I'm going to be like, those two have to go because the board wants me to meet the spacing requirements.
So again, we are where we were, sort of planning and zoning. What are the specific items that we are concerned about? What do they need to be altered to in order for us to be comfortable voting yes, if at all? And again, if there are people who are not going to vote yes no matter, you could speak up. If there's a majority of people who are no votes right now regardless, we don't have to keep having this conversation. So if that's where you are, I think that might be useful information. But we can just go and we can say, all right, are we going to require both spaces be paved? Are we going to require 24 trailers maximum? Are we going and just go item by item and then say, this is what we will approve, and then the ball's in his court?
And so to that point, I feel like I did that for me.
Yes.
Last meeting, and what we got is totally not what I said. Like, hey, for me, this is what I would like. So
what we have is a more detailed document now that we're ready to go and actually edit it.
It's actually more the opposite direction
You're not wrong.
than what I was like, hey, this is what I would like to see.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like I gave my
Input.
that's the word I was looking for, input. And
So if I make 2 paved spots, then are you on board? If I make 2 paved spots and go down to 28 trailers, are you on board? That's where I'm just trying to figure out where the line is for the board.
what I have said from the beginning is if you bring the current trailer park up to code, we talked about the road and the fence not making sense to do that. I've said that's my hurdle.
The number of trailers is not part of that, though.
Now, the tenants
major
have
part
brought
of
that. Like, you know, I know that's been an issue with your surrounding neighbors, and so, but I have said from the beginning, I would like to see the current trailer park up to code. And I mean, I can tell you, I went by there this week, and it's like, it's way, I mean, I can talk to you after about some of the concerns, I have with the current one, but my thing is I've been consistent from the beginning, bring the current one up to code. And specifically 2 paved parking spots at the last meeting. And then we come this one and it's like, hey, can we actually have the new one not up to code to match the old one, which is the polar opposite of where I want it to be. So I don't know how much more I have to lay out there. Like, this is what I would like to see.
Right, but it's not like you.
I understand, but the conversation we just had was maybe we should all go around and everybody should say what they want and don't. I feel like I've already done that, and here we are. So my thing is, if everybody's done talking, I'll make a motion for a second reading and we can vote.
Okay. So you are not going to propose any edits to the document?
I think I've been extremely clear in my.
No, I know you said, but I mean, as far as actually proposing, like, hey.
I feel like I've done that at least 2 other times, and this is where we've gotten it. So,
I think. I'll tell you why I agreed with the 31 spots. Is our fire chief said they could get down and said it's not easy, but they can turn around there and get back, okay, with the way it's laid out. When he had 37 at the last meeting, when he had them behind each other, and I'm thinking, this is going to be a nightmare if somebody has to get an ambulance through there. That was, so I figure we're negotiating with this developer, and we give and take if we want this. If you don't want it, just vote it no. I mean, if you're dead set of having mobile homes, just tell the man straight up and we'll be done with it. But I feel like we're trying to meet a need for lower income home. And this is the fastest way to do it. Okay? Now, if the hill you want to die on, Dusty, is 2 paved lots, that's fine.
Well, I'd say that's one of them. It's bring the current one up to code, and then we can discuss the new one. That's been my hill since the beginning.
But the only part that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but the only problem with that, you buy an apartment complex that's 30 years old, but that lot, you've got 2 vacant lots to build on. Those 2 vacant lots that you build on have to meet the current code. Those 45 or 50 apartments that you bought that were built 30 years ago, they don't have to, no matter how bad you want. And that's how I'm looking at this.
Now, I would say if that person came for a zoning change, I'd say the exact same thing. Because when we first brought this up here, one of the arguments was we want to change it to a trailer park because it's not zoned for that right now. Because, and I believe the statement was made, if I live in a house, I don't want to have to drive through that area to get to my house. Okay, you know, so I mean, if we don't want to drive through that area to get to our house, but we expect the neighbors to be okay with living in that area, I have an issue with that. If that's the reason, hey, we're going to change it to a, you know, if you want to put duplexes there or houses there, fine, because that's what it's currently zoned for. If you want
just to clarify,
is
I don't
it not
know if
it's
that
single family.
I don't know if it's totally germane to your point, but just to clarify, the way it's zoned right now, it could not be. You could not plant a single family home back there because of its frontage requirements.
So could you put
things
duplex
like
back there?
Not without a rezone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you couldn't do anything without a rezone.
It could be a park. Okay. That's related to.
Please,
please
don't make me put a park in there.
Or some other accessory to the
You know, to me, that's this document is me promising that I'm going to do it, and I'm going to, you know, whatever the board says as a collective, and then I can't rent. That's the carrot that you guys get to hold. I can't put tenants into those new spots until the entire park is up to what we decide here today. And so if the 2 paves parking is the issue, then I'm happy to put 2 paved parking places there. If it's something else, I'm happy to do it. But I can't, you know, I have to do it all at once so I know what I'm doing so I can go in the right order. I put a sidewalk there because I was trying to bring it up to code. I should have put the parking there because that was the most important issue. But it's a lot of ambiguity, not only to what I need to do, but what the board wants. So help me write it all down, make it official, and then I got to follow this to the T. And then until I do, I can't have a renter. So of course I'm going to follow this to the T because I need the renters to pay for it. So, you know, if that's what the board wants is 2 paved parking spots, I'll make it happen.
I'm pretty sure I've been clear. So, I mean, what we have in front of us is not 2 paved park. So, if he wants to do that, he can go back and come back.
But I think that's what I'm being told by Kyle is that's what this is.
Right,
You can tell me to put 2 paved spots there.
We can edit it.
I think I have said that for 3 meetings. So, like, hey, I would love to see 3. Now, again, what I also said at the last meeting, there are 8 people on this board. I could say, I want you to do this, and I understand what you're saying, and it could come back and get voted down 7-1, and me be your one vote and be like, hey, Marty, I really appreciate you did that. So, I can only speak for myself what I would like to see with this, which is the conversation we had the time before is bring the current one up to code, except for you mentioned the fence because you have to tear it down in the road because it's cheaper to pave the whole thing at once. And then once that one's up to code, bring it back to us. That's
But-
all I've asked from the beginning.
If you scroll down through here, the only spot that I'm out of code of this that I'm aware of is the parking.
Let me see, I read it the other night. Yeah.
Or I have an explanation, like it's not in compliance, but it will be at the end of the park because it's, I got to do setbacks and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so again, for me, what I've said, get the current one up to code, and I, from the beginning, have said, you will have my support. So if the only thing in here that is not up to code is 2 paved parking spots, that's all I would like to see is 2 paved parking spots per trailer.
So if I change that in here, then
Then again, bring it back, and if that, because again, the last time we talked, I said, this is what I would like to see, and you brought it back, and it was polar opposite. So I can't say, this is, if you bring it back and the current one is currently up to code, minus the 2 things we talked about, I have said from the get-go, I have no reason to oppose what you are bringing to me.
Dusty, can I ask a question to clarify? So if, and this will not be a perfect analogy, but if we had a developer who wanted to put in a subdivision, and we said, we want you to put in the infrastructure before we approve the subdivision. We would like you to outlay the expenses before we've given you permission to realize income on those expenses. I don't think we would do that. I think we would, let me finish. We would decide at the beginning whether we were on board so that the developer could decide whether to incur the expenses based on expecting income later. So what my interpretation of what you've been saying is, let's get a plan where we are clear on all the infrastructure we expect. He can then decide if under those circumstances it's a good business decision for him to continue. And that was sort of my understanding of how we would proceed. What I'm hearing you say is you want him to actually, before he has permission from the city to develop the second portion, he must outlay the expenses on the current portion. And if that's what you're saying, I struggle with that just sort of philosophically as a way to deal with developers.
So if said developer owned a neighborhood adjoining to it and it wasn't up to code.
But if this is it is not out of compliance.
Okay, but it's not up to the current code.
It is in compliance with the code that applies to that lot right now.
At that time, yes. And
So there's no
that's-
violation. No code
I
enforcement officer can go do
understand
that.
But it is, and I would say there are probably some other codes, but that's not what I'm saying that, and so I've said, everybody has asked, what does the board need to see? I have made it clear now for the 3rd meeting in 2 months, bring the current one up to code. That's all I ask. And if you're saying, well, I don't want to do that, I'm not saying he has to do that.
Right.
Like that's,
I guess I'm trying to say there's a difference between what we want and the order in which we're requiring it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine to offer someone a carrot, but like what we want, right? What we want in return is he has no legal obligation to do anything to the existing park.
absolutely.
So what we're wanting him to do is something he has no legal obligation to do.
Absolutely.
And in
I'm not-
exchange, we are offering him nothing but a chance to come back and ask again nicely. So I think that it makes more sense to say, we would like from you something you have no legal obligation to give us, which is the improvement of the existing portion. And in exchange, we give you something else. So to me, those
here's the
promises
thing.
need
He
to
doesn't
happen at the
have-
same
He
time.
doesn't have to bring the current one up to code. I've never said he has. Like, I'm not not saying if you don't, we're going to send somebody out there. He's asking a request from the city. I am 1 of 8 votes. I'm saying, me personally, until that's done, I'm not going to vote for it.
But if I change and I add the parking, and then you change your mind and say, "Oh, now I want you to do this," to me, that's what this document does. Is I'm promising to do my part, and you're promising to do your part.
Then he's got some protection.
Then I got protection, and you do.
Well, I mean,
So it's you saying-
I feel like we had this conversation last meeting and it went the opposite direction. So my thing is, we can sit here and talk for the next 45 minutes.
Okay, so you're a no unless he does everything that needs to be done on
I
the
don't
old
know
park.
how much more
Okay, that's
clear
fine.
I can make that.
Is there a number that anyone on this board would be comfortable voting for tonight on a number of trailers? You said yes on 31, are you still good on 31?
Yeah.
Is there a number, Justin, that you would be comfortable voting for tonight on these trailers?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Okay, Tricia, is there a number? Okay, Shane, is there a number?
That's right.
I'm not gonna.
You're gonna abstain. All right, I asked you
No.
no number, and Brian's saying okay. And and I assume that means that the paving of the parking doesn't matter because there's not a number you'd be comfortable voting yes on, so it doesn't matter. We don't need to go through the parking and all of that.
Right, I think that kind of ends the conversation.
Okay.
right there. We're not comfortable with
So
the
I make a
number.
motion for a second reading.
Second,
Ready?
Go ahead.
This is bill number 2026-37, ordinance number 4144, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 2015 South Morrisville Road in Bolivar, Missouri.
Please call the roll.
Neal,
To just as a preface to this, I'm planning and zoning commissioner when I'm planning and zoning, and I'm alderman when I am here.
yes.
That means that they will not always be the same. I supported this plan as reflective of the Planning and Zoning Commission's perspective at that time. I had the same reservations that you did with, not the order of events, but the substance of them with regard to the number of trailers and the parking, paved parking, relaxing the the new requirements to meet the old rather than the reverse. So I am a no. But I wanted to make sure that it was clear it's not a flip-flop, it's two different hats, so.
Thank you.
Rains,
No.
Sagasser,
Hey, yay.
Ross,
No.
Ballard.
No.
Price,
No,
Sire.
Abstain.
Does that meet the requirements for abstention?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have to give a reason.
A vote of 6 noes and 0 and 1 aye, or 5 noes and 1 aye, and 1 abstention. Bill 2026-38. Is that right? Is that the one? Is it 38?
37.
37.
Yeah.
Bill 2637 fails. Okay. 37. There, okay. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill 2026-38.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2026-38, ordinance number 4145, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Polk County Investments LLC for a cooperative sidewalk improvement services agreement.
Okay, discussion?
Mr. Merritt, this
Yes,
is
please
this is an
do.
agreement between the city and owners of businesses on the square. So this one and the next two are all the same, just different
Yes.
businesses. They own businesses on the square on the north side. We're going to enter an agreement to construct a sidewalk. As you know, the north side of the square, the sidewalks are in pretty bad shape.
Yes.
We would provide the expertise and the labor, and they would provide the material.
Okay, discussion from the board.
Is this the whole sidewalk from?
No, it's probably a little over half of it. We're still trying to work with the other landowners to get them to sign this agreement, unfortunately.
So we're piecemealing it. So is there a mechanism where we do the whole thing and send the other property owners a bill, or are we just going to get as far as we can go?
I don't think we're that far with the new sidewalk ordinance to do that. My suggestion would be go ahead and let's press forward on what we have. It's a pretty big project, and it's going to take a while, so at least getting half of it done would be a positive movement.
Further discussion from the board?
Is it a continuous half?
Yes. Yes.
Further discussion from the board? This is,
The agreements
We have
being
agreements on
approved,
Opposite ends of the block.
yeah, the agreements being approved for a section that is not continuous, but that's because one owner had already signed that agreement additionally. And so we're putting forward all of the agreements that we have so that we can be ready as soon as we receive the others. But the proposed section that right now we intend to construct is that eastern half, essentially, of that block.
This is essentially one matter broken into three parts here. Further discussion? Seeing none. Madam Clerk,
Second reading?
I'm entertaining a motion for a second reading of Bill number 2638.
Second reading?
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-38, ordinance number 4145, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Polk County Investments LLC for a cooperative sidewalk improvement services agreement.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Raines. Neal.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved Bill number 2026-38. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-39.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-39, ordinance number 4146, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Bolivar First National Building LLC for a cooperative sidewalk improvement services agreement.
Discussion? Seeing none. I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2026-39.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-39, ordinance number 4146, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Bolivar First National Building LLC for a cooperative sidewalk improvement services agreement.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ross.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Sawyer. Sagasser.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved Bill number 2639. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-40.
First reading.
Second.
Madam Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-40, ordinance number 4147, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with GRB of Bolivar LLC for a cooperative sidewalk improvement services agreement.
Discussion? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2026-40.
First reading.
Second.
This is Bill number 2026-40, ordinance number 4147, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with GRB of Bolivar LLC for a cooperative sidewalk improvement services agreement.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Sawyer.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved Bill number 2026-40. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2026-41.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-41, ordinance number 4148, an ordinance authorizing multiple approved purchases as authorized for the city of Bolivar.
Mr. Relford, could you inform us, please?
Yes, sir. This is just formalizing the purchase of some items the board have already approved.
Further discussion from the board? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2026-41.
Second reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2026-41, ordinance number 4148, an ordinance authorizing multiple approved purchases as authorized for the city of Bolivar.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Sawyer. Neal.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, we've approved Bill number 2026-41. On to new business item J, the street surfacing plan. Mr. Lee, could you bring us up to date, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I assume and hope that all the aldermen have had an opportunity to read the letter provided in the packet, but I'll just quickly summarize. We are recommending that we utilize just a portion of the funds dedicated to our surface treatment of streets this year and hold back some of those funds to be put towards a project next year. And that project in particular, I'll speak to it first and then what we would expect to do in 2026. But the project that we're planning in 27 and have begun some engineering analysis of is to overlay Albridge Road. This is obviously one of our more significant, one of the most significant roads actually that the city has responsibility for within our city limits, and to overlay that from Springfield Avenue to the MoDOT maintenance area. The cost for that is projected to be near $650,000. That exceeds what would be normative within our budget capability in a single year. So that's one reason. Additionally, we are proposing to engineer and design an on-street bike lane to provide the connector route there for Ozark Greenways Trail. And in addition to that, that would be from roughly Mesa to the county road on the other side of 13, on the east side of 13, or I'm sorry, on the west side of 13. And then we would utilize those saved funds as it's described there, along with funds that the Bolivar Special Road District has been holding, and we've been in discussions of that. We have not taken disbursement from them for a number of years for the purpose of a larger project like this, and they are I've briefed them on this type of plan, and they've been in agreement to this moving forward. And then we would utilize funds from the 2027 streets capital budget. So all of those would be utilized for that larger project. In addition to that larger project, we also in 2027, 2028 would be seeking to resurface Butterfield Road, in fact rebuild Butterfield Road. That's detailed in some of the costs for this year and part of next year. And then we would also propose a off-street bike lane from the Mesa to Morrisville Road connection to actually complete that trail connection. So that's all detailed there. This year, the 2026 expected costs, I had mentioned to the board last year some details about we're looking into some micro seal options for roads. So we have a few roads identified that would be good candidates with one of the providers. We'll need to formalize a bid if the board ultimately approves this approach. And so that would be one of our efforts towards surface preparation or surface treatment on our roads. And then additionally, we have some areas that we need to make some larger repairs. One is on Aldrich Road there that would prepare us for a future overlay. But if people may be familiar there on the corner near Jones, there is on the eastbound traffic lane, there is a pretty significant dip there that needs some repair. And we would also expand some crack sealing through this year to provide some additional treatment to our road surfaces, as well as the beginning of work on the Butterfield Drive. If the board may recall, Butterfield Drive is the portion that leads into the hospital campus. There was a bit maybe in the past confusion about who had ownership of that. It does appear that the city owns that. CMH does have interest in the communications I've had with them of potentially owning that in the future, but obviously and reasonably they would expect to take ownership of a quality roadway, which is what we would expect when we receive a roadway from a developer. So
it's a mess now.
It's not in great shape now, and so this actually contemplates, we've done some initial geotech engineering on that, and this contemplates a rebuild according to that engineering. So what we would do is begin some of that work late this year, early 27, and ideally overlay that with the other project in 27, either out of reserves, or 28 if we had to, out of funding. So
now, concerning the road down to the hospital from 83, that's going to be well, that's going to be a showcase for the city, it seems to me. What are the plans to actually improve that? To rip it up, or just overlay it?
Butterfield Road, yeah. We are talking about a removal and a replacement of that road.
Because it's in
Correct.
Terrible shape
Yes.
the way it is now.
And I did note there in the letter that part of the genesis of this is looking at funding, different funding items. We had already planned potentially for this project. One reason for the delay is the engineering coordination with MoDOT, because a significant part of the bike lane portion of this would be within MoDOT's maintenance area, which is going to require us to have a little more coordination with them. So the timing of that, as well as everybody's aware of the gas pump geopolitical climate that sees a significant increase on asphalt prices, and we are hoping that those will be more stabilized in 27. So our larger costs, of course, I'm sure like everybody here, your Magic 8 Ball's not working anymore, and you don't know for sure, but we expect that those costs could reduce in 27. Hope that they would.
Geopolitically, it seems situational rather than intrinsic, and we're kind of holding out hope.
Yeah. Oil as a commodity, it fluctuates.
Right.
So it doesn't usually stay as high as it is now.
Discussions from the board and questions from the board. Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve item number J, the street resurfacing plan.
I'll make a motion, we approve Kyle's recommended street.
In a
plan.
second.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have approved the street resurfacing plan as described by Mr. Lee.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
just wanted to say thank you to staff. This was a very helpful document laying out the benefits of waiting and how it would be a better use of city resources to forego what we would normally do in a summer, and be able to do that. So I just really appreciate the work that went into this, and it was a very effective and useful tool for us in making a decision.
Thank you. It is going to be a really great project too. Just I may have missed that in the, there is some excitement to
Yeah.
it in the future. There will be a really great improvement to the city, I think, with this.
Great.
So thank you.
On to item K. Chief Watkins, do you want to have enlighten us, please, sir?
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, okay.
Good evening. So our current phone, hard desktop phone contract expires 1st of August. If you recall, we renewed it, an emergency extension a year ago because the phones went out of date. So we went up to bid. The bids are before you. The lowest bidder was CPI. Copy products. What are they in that? CPI stands for out of Springfield. But you can see the difference of there. We did both leasing and owning. Per the bid totals, leasing is a little bit more. I would personally recommend to the board the leasing option, just because, like the last phone system, if there's a security update the phones can't take, lease, it covers it all. They replace them all, everything. We're not stuck with buying the phones again. So, but that is the prices. That's the recommendations of city staff. If you have any questions.
Do you have any?
Questions or comments from the board?
This may not be something you can answer. Do you have any idea why the range of prices would vary so wildly?
We were amazed.
Okay.
I
just apparently some of these phones are 3 times as awesome as the other phones based on the price
and here's
tag.
the ironic part is every phone that was spec'd as the base phone were all the same brand, a little bit different model, like a 2X5 instead of a 275.
Sure.
But otherwise they were all the same brand, and I think a lot of it has to do with the portals and the software side of the phone system.
Well, I appreciate you recommending the
So
least of the options that are all the same, as rather than the most expensive.
yes,
So
yeah.
it seemed like a pretty straightforward choice.
It
Thank you.
does.
And we did reference checks, and it all was very positive.
Okay.
Questions and comments from the board?
We have a time frame when they would come in and install it.
I mean, since our current contract's by August, this is designed so we'll be going live 1st of August to coincide with the ending of the current contract.
Further questions and comments?
Is the recommendation for the lease or the purchase?
The lease, sir.
Please.
Okay. Questions and comments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the phone communications bid as described by Chief Watkins.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have approved the phone communications bid presented by Chief Watkins.
And Paula, you have that's the lease option, not the purchase option. Okay, thank you.
Okay. On to item L, the inclusive playground chain link fence.
Chief, can you
Mr.
pull up?
Alford?
Can you pull up the bid page, please? Yes, Mayor. This is another bid proposal for the board's decision making. As you might recall, we received, or we're going to receive, a substantial donation from Easy Living of $10,000 for a fence at the inclusive playground. So we went out for bids, and you'll see the bids up there on the screen. We've looked into this, and again, there's quite a variation in some of the prices there as well. But the staff recommends the first one there, Barry Lord DBA. It's a company out of Dunnigan, Missouri. We've done a lot of extensive reference checks, all very positive. And in addition to that, they have a 2-year workmanship warranty. So they're just a touch higher than another company, but the board recommends going with that company out of Dunnigan.
It's just,
Questions and comments?
it's just a plain Jane chain link fence.
It's that black vinyl coated, yes,
Okay,
with,
and the
I
height?
think, four. I think it's 4. Yeah, and how many gates, Todd?
2 gates, 10 foot on the north, or on the south end, and 8 foot at the entrance.
10 and an 8-foot gate. So it's going to look really nice.
And a 4-foot high fence?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And just a reminder, we had $10,000 donation, and we can pay the balance through parks insurance funds.
For comments and questions?
The warranty, if anything breaks, the 2-year warranty kicks in.
Yeah, that's on workmanship. Correct. Yeah. I think the material is a 1 year.
Okay. Questions and comments? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion for accepting the inclusive playground chain link fence bid.
So move.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have accepted the inclusive playground chain link fence bid. On M, Mr. Lee, would you want to bring us up to date, please?
Yes, as requested, we went out to bid for a speed table to be installed on Forest. We did not receive any bids back, but in the process of those communications, we were able to acquire one email quote that for a modular type of system that's installed on the roadway, which was what we were looking for in the bid. Because of both the speed and the thin nature of that roadway there, it was actually quite a bit less expensive than I had expected and that we had expected. We are still looking for some additional quotes. We're just trying to follow our purchasing guidelines as best we can. It's still something we want to get multiple written quotes, but the recommendation is that we move forward. And we would normally do that just at the staff level. Thomas would approve this, but since we had gone out to bid and the board was aware of that, I wanted to, give you this update that we did go out to bid. We didn't receive any bids. There isn't one to select, but we do believe we'll come in under those costs anyhow and be able to purchase one and move forward.
But do we need to vote on this now, or do we need to wait?
I think that we wouldn't be selecting this person. It would normally be done at Thomas's level of approval. I just was trying to we wanted to get the information in front of you since you knew that it had gone out to bid.
Okay, that's just basically an update.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that. Under item N, Mr. Lee, can you bring us up? Oh, whoop. Now then,
not me.
I'm opening for discussion for the naming of the inclusive playground.
So, Alexis and I have been talking, and Trish, with the inclusive playground. There's a gentleman here in town, Bill Little. If anybody knows Bill, I talked to him this week. I personally would love the idea of naming it after Bill and Mary Little. What Bill has done for the city is he served on planning and zoning since its inception, which he told me is roughly 60-ish years now.
Yeah.
He was on council for 44, 46. So if you add those two together, he's got over 100 years, which that's quick math right there. of service to the city. So I think it would be something that he's truly earned, and so I would make a motion to name it after Bill and Mary Little.
And I would second that motion.
All right, let's,
Or
Can-
if there's any discussion
Yeah.
or anything.
we need, we've probably had discussion prior to this. I mean, is there any other suggestions or discussions? To be clear, Counselor, how should the motion be worded, please?
I make a motion
to name the inclusive playground, or naming the inclusive playground, the bill. And did you want to include the spouse in there?
Yeah, Bill and Mary Little.
So the motion again is,
To name the inclusive playground after Bill and Mary Little.
Bill and Mary Little.
and that should be clear.
I think
All
so.
right. No discussion further. Those in favor say aye.
Hold on.
Aye.
Is there any direction to staff as far as how would you like that to be done as far as signage and anything like that we can research?
Should we go ahead and vote for the motion first, and then
I like that idea.
all right, let's go ahead and prove that. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have named the inclusive playground for Bill and Mary Little for his many years of service and holding my hands through organic chemistry.
That's a major deal right there. And as far as signage goes, I mean, I'd be curious to look at like kind of what the other parks have, and do something similar, whether it's a plaque or something there, kind of.
Can we also have Bill and Mary have a say in that as well? I mean, if
Oh,
it's,
sure.
I mean, their name, like have them be a part of the process as well. I think that would be a good homage to them.
And I talked to Bill this week, and gave him a heads up,
Yeah.
and of course, in Bill fashion, there were so many other people that probably you could name, and so yeah. So, but I think that's not a bad idea to extend that to see if they have any preference.
It might also be when the fence is done,
Yeah.
and if we're ready to have a plaque around then, but have some kind of ribbon cutting naming something to officially christen it
Agreed.
and be able to have whatever plaque or whatever's going up and the nice new fence, and then have it look closer to a complete
I can grill hot
installation.
dogs, that's right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think that's a very, very good thing. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dusty, for suggesting it.
All right, we have a request from a Mr. Charles Lentz to address the board. Is Mr. Lentz here? And as by rule, you are a citizen and more than welcome to address the board. But by rule and by policy or preference, okay, you got a 5? Yeah. There you go. You have 5 minutes, and you will be timed, sir.
Okay. First of all, what a great choice with Bill Little. Bill was instrumental in getting the SBU and Mercy Hospital to work together, and he's an icon in the field. Look forward to seeing Coyle. That'd be fantastic. I would ask permission. Can I give you a handout? I only have 5 minutes. It'd be okay if you guys, would you receive a handout?
Hold it. Okay, well.
I just want to ask permission
We'll
before.
We'll pause there
Sure.
if you want to pass
Yeah.
that.
That way, you guys can take one if you want. Thank you.
Okay.
And that way, when it's over, if you have any questions, I've done this a few times. This is with regard to AI data centers, and I really think it's a bigger issue than that. So if I asked, what's the real issue with data centers? I get this all the time. It's water, it's electricity. It's not really. What's going on in this country is we've forgotten how the country was founded, and that is that governments are instituted among men to secure the rights of individuals, and that those rights are based on what we would call the consent of the governed. And if I ask you, well, what does that word mean? Do we all have to agree on everything? The consent of the governed means that people are in general understanding of the same things.
And I think the biggest thing that I would caution us here in Bolivar about, and by the way, commend you for doing the work that you're doing, but we have to have an informed electorate. And then the backside, I would say, it's our responsibility to be informed. And that's what we have not done. And so for all of that, people just want transparency. They don't want these things to be hidden from them. And so I think that my first encouragement would be, we're to secure people's natural God-given rights, and number two, that people should be informed of what's going on. Now, after that, we can start working with some things. So a couple of things I'd like to point out. The current law that's been signed in, Senate Bill 4, has been signed by the governor, that passed. There's a couple of things that I think would be very important for us to recognize on what's happened with utility rates. No longer do utility companies have to wait until the completion of infrastructure. By the way, if I ask you, how many pages do you think that bill was? Anybody have a guess? I've asked this at 3 or 4 Republican meetings. It's 131 pages, and I really wonder how much people really read. Chris is here, he could probably tell us, but there's over, what's that?
Every page.
Every page, okay. How many changes in that? 50, I think 51 exactly. So if we look at that and we think about this law, what are some things that changed? Well, a couple of things. Number one, utilities now can charge ahead of time for future changes. They don't just have to change rates based on what's already been done. That will be a significant change to the people here if they put a data center in. I want you to be aware of that. Number two, accelerated renewable buyer, 80 megawatts. A home uses about 1,000 megawatts a year. What was written into that bill will benefit only a company that uses 80 megawatts. That would be like Hickory County 10 times. So we can see it's a very large usage of electricity. Thirdly, projections also do not reduce costs because people do not have to be accountable for those costs. Overruns, misgivings on perhaps budget things that they may have looked at. So I would ask you to look at those 3 things before you consider that at least. Now, there are other things that we can talk about. My brother's worked for Amner for years. I've got a brother-in-law who's working on this from an engineering standpoint. There are challenges. Infrastructure is going to be a big challenge. We simply do not have the infrastructure. Our grid is already susceptible. In fact, if you wanted to hurt the United States, you probably could just simply attack the grid system. Very vulnerable to, right now, it's not very well done. Number two, power generation. We simply do not have enough power. We need to, right now, we should be working on power generation going forward in Missouri. We don't have the power. We're going to have to look at things like nuclear. Also written into SB 4 is that natural gas is also going to be promoted as replacement for coal. So if I was an investor, I'd be investing in natural gas right now. But those are the things that people don't always know, that common people don't know. And thirdly, cooling. Cooling is going to be a major issue. Now, people will protest and say, well, we're not going to do evaporation anymore. It never made sense to do evaporation in the first place. You should never use the resources of water to do evaporation. So they're going to promote things like cooling. Well, we'll just do a closed loop system, we'll do cooling. I will say this to you. By the way, it's a little intimidating, almost like being at Mizzou going through my dissertation defense, okay? Even when you cool, just remember this, you can't fool the fundamentals. The first law of thermodynamics is energy cannot be created or destroyed. If you heat it up and you create 80 megawatts of power, you have to cool it down and you have to use 80 megawatts of power. However you do that, if you use, if you use closed loop, if you use radiators, you still have to use fans, there's going to be a lot of electricity used. Think about the people when you're looking at this. And remember why we were elected. You sit there now, someday someone else may sit there, and it may be your grandchildren or your children. And the final thing would be this. There should always be a why. Why are we building them, and is there a public desire for them to be built? Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on, the data center development discussion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, open it up. Yes, please,
May
ma'am.
I request we want 5 or 10 minute recess before we start this next discussion? It could
You
be
may.
fairly lengthy, and a couple of us have already gone to the restroom.
Okay. You may, and we shall
We want 5 or 10
recess
minutes.
for 10 minutes
Okay.
until we have done what
Yes,
we
I'll
need
make
to
a
do
motion.
for ourselves.
I'll make that a motion.
Okay. Okay. All right, say aye. We are in recess.
you get coffee or tea?
Council, does it require a motion to re-adjourn?
Yes, I believe it will.
Okay. Okay. I move, I'm asking for a motion to re-adjourn.
Can we wait on our clerk for a second?
Our clerk is missing?
Oh, I don't think we have to have a clerk, do we?
Yes, we
She records the motion. Don doesn't want to have to write it down. They didn't cover that in law school.
Hey, Tom, can you do that?
I know.
All right, I'm moving for a motion to re-adjourn.
So moved.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now back in session. All right, I'm opening the floor for a discussion of a data center development, of which I'm not aware of any.
No,
Go ahead,
this
please.
isn't about a proposed. This is a discussion about the concept of and whether this city would like to plan in which direction this city would like to plan.
Okay. Fair enough. Who would like to speak first?
I have a question about what level of detail we're looking to get into tonight, or is what we really want to do to say, staff, would you please help us figure out all of the tools at our disposal to protect against anything we don't want? I mean, just something, not that staff already doesn't have a lot to do, but as far as specific proposals, that's always my go-to is for staff to provide what tools are at our disposal to,
I'd actually love for staff and Don to
yeah.
contribute to this part.
Who would like to speak first?
Just for what it's worth, I mean, I do believe, and again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not sure that the city has a whole lot of available land that could accommodate a data center. But having said that, I wholly believe that the city probably needs to come up with some kind of zoning regulations to, just in case. I mean, it would be. I think it would be foolish not to at this point in time.
And just to point out, I'm so sorry, can I just,
course.
one quick comment to what you just said?
Mhm.
I've seen data centers go in on as little as 5 acres.
Okay. So again, I would highly encourage this board to ask myself and staff to maybe start to work on some zoning regulations with an eye of keeping the city protected in the event that it were to happen. But also, one thing we can't protect against, or at least in my research hasn't uncovered any yet, obviously the county surrounding the city has absolutely no zoning whatsoever. There's not a whole lot stopping the city from preventing a facility opening up outside the city limits in the county. So with those two things in mind, for what it's worth, I do believe that at the very least I should get with the staff and get to work on some zoning regulations just to bring before the board. Now again, would this board like to see it first, or would this board like it to be brought to the Planning and Zoning Commission first?
I would move for a 180-day moratorium on data centers to define the zoning laws for such centers.
Yes, sir.
Question to Don.
Mm-hmm.
That 180-day moratorium can be extended closer to that 180 days, right? Say we wanted a year instead of,
I believe
we can
it
wait
could.
until later in the moratorium
I'll
to add time.
do some research on that, but I don't see why not.
Okay.
But I also feel that we can get something. I think we could get something to the board within the 180 days.
Okay, so 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask a question about
Go ahead, please.
what the legal effect of the moratorium is? If we currently had zoning regulations that do not prohibit a particular use, and I don't know if there would be a zoning district that would permit something like this. If it is not explicitly forbidden on that zoning district, does a moratorium, does that make sense? What is the legal effect of a moratorium?
I'm going to bring it back to you. Let me research it.
Okay, So it wouldn't necessarily be anything that would take effect tonight.
Nope. Well, I mean, I think it would be effective as the city's statement of its intent that
That's fair.
it would not welcome one unless and until it was vetted and
Yeah.
passed some
Okay.
zoning structure.
Sure. So as a public statement, okay, that makes sense because I wasn't sure about whether we could just declare that certain uses
Understood.
that are otherwise legal just aren't for the next 6 months.
And
Understood.
can I comment to that?
Yes.
They can go into many different places according to our zonings. They can be labeled as a warehouse, telecommunication facility, infrastructure facility, all sorts of different things that they've gotten approval before a city even knew what they were looking at. So there's a lot of different labels they could use. They don't have to tell you, hey, I'm a data center.
Sure.
They're using an awful lot of, let's say, fiber. I'm a telecommunications distributor.
Sure.
So there's just a lot of
All of that would have to
ways
come
they
through
could get
P&Z, would it not?
Well, but that's what I'm saying is if you are in a zone that allows you to have a business, you don't come to the city to get permission to put the particular
Sure.
kind of business
Right,
on.
just
like,
as long as
as
it
long as it's
conforms.
permitted.
Right, as long as it
So-
conforms.
But
Right,
there,
right.
there are also things that we have in the city, and like, I hate to compare the two, but I mean,
Yep.
like for example, you can't have a strip club on the
Yes.
square, and we have ordinances
Right.
that prevent that.
Yes.
And again, I'm not saying that we're comparing the two, but we do have
Yes,
ordinances. in
and that's
place
one of
that-
the,
yes.
one of the ways to deal with it. I just don't know if we can accomplish that through like a one-stop motion from this board as opposed to going through changing the ordinance to say now and including, in addition to saying you can't do this, this, and this in a normal business district, we actually are also going to add an item and say this is not permitted, that will still, so yeah, but as far as a statement of public statement of intent, as far as the posture of the community towards it, I think that's fine.
Right.
Just realize that in order for the ordinances to be changed, there are probably specific processes we need to go through, like having planning and zoning approve it first and changing the zoning districts accordingly.
And I am a big believer in definitions. So the very first step, I think, would be to, once we're dealing with ordinance and all that, is define a data center. Get a really good definition of exactly what it is.
Well,
And that way.
in our current process, Kyle, when a company comes to you for a permit, do they have to tell you how much water they're going to use, how much
Nope.
electricity they're going to use? I mean, is that something we would even be alerted to until it was done?
I mean, we don't have like a specific list how many gallons of usage, but we require design, engineering and things like that would be indicated, or work with the utility. I mean, like those descriptions, you would be extending, mains and providing new utility services, and all of that would be part of review. But no, I mean, there's not like a list how many gallons you use per day or anything like that. No.
But the engineering to provide that would have to be a part of the plan.
Yeah, it would be part of the design. I mean, whatever would be necessarily required. I think the term data center could refer to a lot of different things. So I'm sure there would be some quote unquote data centers that would
Yeah,
need
because
no
they're-
additional infrastructure, and there might be some that need a considerable amount of additional.
Because we already use cloud data centers.
So question I have is, Alderman Sawyer's made a motion about a 180-day moratorium.
Moratorium.
Now, with that motion, it was a 180-day moratorium on data centers. Do we need to define what a data center is?
Yes. Specifically there can be classifications depending on wattage used.
So, what were your thoughts on that for that motion?
If I can find it,
I think he's got
Could it be a centralized physical facility that houses IT infrastructure such as servers, storage systems, and networking equipment?
Oh, we need
I
to be
think
very
that's pretty
careful
broad
because
because
that.
I'm assuming like the county has one of those. We may have one of those.
Yes,
the
yes,
hospital.
we do.
It serves as the digital backbone of the internet, securely storing, processing, and distributing vast amounts of data for businesses, cloud services, and everyday online activities. That could still limit some businesses that we may not want to
And if
limit.
we put a moratorium on any new ones, if somebody wanted to expand in that 180 days, then that's technically, I mean, it's one of those. It's a tough situation because I think we all know in our minds what we think of a data center, but how do we articulate that?
Are
If
we
you-
concerned that
did-
there?
He may have. He's probably smarter than I am. so.
Would you step forward and give your name and address and you're
Yeah, my
welcome.
name is Roger Grissom, and I live at 1465 State Highway PP, so I'm a little north of town. I've only moved here like 4 years ago. So first of all, thank you guys for building such a beautiful community. I love it here. I love raising my kids here. I'm not here to tell y'all how to do what you do. Don't want Bolivar to change, but I have worked for 20 years as a data engineer. So this is a topic I know a lot about. The AI data centers are commonly referred to as hyperscale data centers, and they are hundreds of thousands or millions of square feet. So I would say a good idea is the moratorium that you're talking about should target those, right? Anything over 100,000 square feet is not going to be an issue, or anything under 100,000 square feet is not going to be a power or a water issue in general. There's a couple of other things that these hyperscale facilities have that you probably heard about in different ways. Virginia is the worst case scenario. So if you want to do research, look at what Virginia is doing, and they're doing it wrong. There's also been issues with water in Georgia, Fayetteville, Georgia. So that's another one to look at. How even though there was certain restrictions put in place about water consumption, they just hooked up and took 24 million gallons of water without asking. And at that point, the project was so far along, the local authorities declined to fine them. So all of those representatives lost their jobs, just like Glenn Youngkin did in Virginia, over this issue. Setbacks is the other one. Noise, they generate a ton of noise. So if you have a smaller facility under 100,000 square feet, you don't need the massive cooling, and you don't need the same amount of backup generators. Because once you turn these on, you cannot turn them off without tens of billions of dollars being lost in days. So the power generation for the power generators, the cheapest way is with diesel generators. That also creates the dirtiest local air pollution possible. So the ones that have done it correctly are ones like Elon Musk did one in Memphis that uses methane generators instead. Liquid natural gas is what I would go with personally, if you can, do that. Number three is the water, right? So under 100,000 square feet, you're not using water for cooling. You're just going to use normal HVAC stuff that, all of our facilities, any warehouse, Walmart, everybody's got, right? So once you get above a certain size and you have to start using, faster and more efficient cooling, that's when you have to start using large amounts of water. So you should always insist that they use only gray water. And if they balk at any of those three things, keeping their facility small, using gray water if they require any for cooling, and sticking to certain substances for power generation for their backups, because they have to have backups. There's never going to be a 24/7 situation where they can, and they're not going to do solar. So they're, solar is a great option, but it's just they're not going to do it. So methane and LNG is cheaper, and it's less of an impact to people. So getting these facilities to build up instead of out is another challenge. But if you have a small enough area, like 5 acres, I would be fine living next to a 5-acre data center. I would not be fine living next to something else. And so that gentleman that started here was talking about, why are we doing this? Why are we building these data centers? Literally the only reason is to beat China. That's it. So they got to go somewhere, and we just have to decide how we're going to do it. However, they just want to do it on the cheap. So they're looking for cheap places to land right now. Not because they need to, but because that's what business does. Nothing wrong with that. That's what they should be doing, looking after their shareholders, etc. But we as a locality should think, what are the things that are deal breakers for us, and get those into some sort of document ahead of time, definitely. And if you can at all help it, having setbacks, the one in Virginia that Glenn Youngkin vetoed was a 500-foot from residential property, which to me is not enough. I would want at least 1,000 feet, and I probably still wouldn't buy property adjoining that. If we can't get to something sensible there, you're going to just, lower the quality of life and the property values that it goes up against. So small ones, build as many of those as you want. It's very important. Those are good jobs. When you get to these hyperscale ones, the number of jobs that they bring in is extremely negligible. It is not going to move the needle at all. So all the money you're going to get is going to be from property taxes. So don't give away the store with a sweetheart deal where you're giving them a moratorium on their, property taxes for X number of years.
Everybody has a moratorium on property tax. We don't have a property tax.
We don't have a property tax in Bolivar.
Okay, so that's probably more of a county thing then, right?
Yeah.
So that's the basics. Just know these things are going to get built. So have a plan, have the deal breakers, and then if they balk at any of them, walk away. That's my advice.
Sir, you seem to be extremely well informed on this. So we're kind of absorbing the national noise and the concern that so many that so many people in so many places have expressed, and now this board is looking to try to look ahead. And if you were sitting up here and we've been searching for some definitions or been searching for some specificity of how to quiet the waters for the moment until we can understand the situation more completely, I guess that's what we're hoping for. What would you say? We talked about this moratorium.
Yeah.
How would you word his proposal?
Yeah, I would definitely start with the size, right? So if it's a single-use facility, it's 100,000 square feet, and it's just for hosting servers, then no. Anything below that, that's just for housing servers, then they have to go through the normal permitting process. That would be the fastest way, because the reason that they have to be so big is that they require all the data to be in one place to work fast enough for the AI to be able to churn it and come up with answers when people ask it questions, right?
Then why
so it all has to be in one spot
then,
for
then
those.
why do small units even exist if it requires massive units to do what AI supposedly has to do?
So those are for other uses then. So those are not for things like Amazon Web Services or like Celebrate. Celebrate is hosted in Vienna, Virginia. Okay, so we have a saying in IT: your data isn't in the cloud; it's in Virginia. So there's certain amounts of data that corporations want to have, and so they hire these companies that just run the data center for them.
There are already lots of data centers.
Right.
This cloud isn't in the cloud; it's in a computer somewhere.
Right. So AI data centers are different. That's why we call them hyperscale, right? Because they're so much bigger. The smaller data centers are just running like everyday stuff or co-locating for a number of businesses, right? So Amazon is running one data center. Google is running one data center. Like all of these extremely large tech players, I mean, they have dozens, but that whole data center is just that one company. Now, they may do different stuff with it, but it's all that one company. So these smaller data centers are kind of a legacy of where the internet and technology was in the last 20 years. So you might need 3 servers as a company. You don't want to build, a little closet in your actual office. You rent some space at one of these smaller ones.
So a question I have, in this just super simple question. So the data centers right now, they're all AI data centers, correct?
All of the newest ones are going to be, yep.
If we put I'm assuming that the data that we have here is not considered an AI data center, is it? So if we were to put a moratorium for 180 days and we were to say on AI data centers until we can get some stuff, that's kind of all the stuff that's being built right now. And I know you're saying the big ones,
Yep.
but if I'm saying all of them currently until, we can
Yeah.
get some stuff, I mean,
So-
you think saying AI data centers would fit that bill, or can they come in and say, oh, we're not actually an AI data center, we're, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, so like Amazon Web Services, and Google are run out of hyperscale data centers. So it's not what you would think of as traditional AI, which most people think of AI, they think of an LLM or a large language model, right? Where it's something like ChatGPT or Claude, where you ask it questions and it answers.
So if we had a proposal to put a moratorium on all AI data centers for the next 180 days, what would your thoughts, how would you word that?
That's where I would say you just limit the square footage, limit the square footage, and they just wouldn't be able to. The smallest one I know of that Google has is 290,000 square feet.
But Google's not the only one, correct?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the smallest that I've heard of.
But,
Is
I mean, there's other
290.
companies that are building them, and
They just can't get smaller than that because then it's just not useful to AI, and there's just no other way to build them. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Just a genuine question of the board. Are we concerned that there will be action on this in the next 2 weeks before we meet again? I am a little the reason I ask is I'm a little leery of me, not someone who's worked in data for 20 years, and my wonderful peers who have excellent judgment in a number of areas, but also have not worked in data for 20 years, generating on the fly a definition of a data center, as opposed to saying, staff, please come back to us with a draft moratorium, including a definition of a data center at the next meeting, and having that there. If we are in fact worried about what happens between now and the next meeting, Don, if we create a moratorium and it's worded inartfully, and we come back later and fix it, is that something we can do?
Probably, but I think any moratorium we do is going to have to be in writing. So
And we don't have anything in writing yet.
Until
to-
the
to
next
do
2
that.
weeks.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks. Okay.
I honestly don't think we're going to get.
So
for
my
the
my
next 2
comfort
weeks.
level would increase significantly if I had something from staff that was a draft saying, here is the definition, and they can look and see what are the kinds of, so we're not handicapping small businesses who happen to have servers in their closets or whatever. And that way we're letting them come up with a definition that makes sure it protects against what we're worried about and doesn't inadvertently cause problems for things we have no intention of preventing. So that's my just 2 cents worth as far as that.
Just to throw this out and a reminder, there is a summit that the governor's hosting on June 17th. So I think before we
Yeah.
make a decision, it'd be nice for staff, and I know some of the aldermen are interested, to go to that and actually learn more about it and maybe bring some of that information back.
That's true.
I have a question for you. So Polk County does not have natural gas.
Right.
Do you think that would make us less desirable? No.
No, they would be happy to put diesel generators on top. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
They would be happy to do
I was
that.
thinking maybe we
Yeah.
had some.
No, like
An upside.
What?
An upside. We don't
so
have gas.
right now there's a rush to build these to beat the Chinese, and we're ahead, and so they're just looking for cheap places to land. It is not because they don't have enough money. Please believe me when I tell you, I worked for 5 years for a financial company, but anyway, I've seen all the books that these companies had. I was in charge of guarding their data. They're awash in cash. They have so much money for this. There are people that want to invest in AI that don't have any place to put the money right now. They want to put more money in. So charging them a little bit more to build the facility correctly and in the right places is not a tough ask. But their job is going to be to find the cheapest way to do it rather than, necessarily trying to find the best way to do it. So as a locality, we have to come up with, what are the things that you will balk at. And, I've thought about this a lot because I'm like, I know we have to beat the Chinese, but I don't want to live next to one of these. So what would it take for me to be like, okay, I would be okay with that data center there. And there's just a number of things, and if they balk at any of them, I would walk away.
So, question I have, Mr. Mayor, and probably feel free to chime in, everybody else. I know that we have normal rules, and if people get on the agenda to come up and talk about something on the agenda, but I know this gentleman here has had his hand up, and I feel like there's, I know another gentleman who missed getting.
I can vouch for Dan.
his,
Dan's a good guy.
Since we've kind of opened it up, I mean, I would feel better if there's anybody who wanted to come up and say anything for or against, since we've kind of opened that, if nobody has an objection to that.
That's my intention. I hope that the board is comfortable.
Yeah. I thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was a gentleman who has signaled his intention, and I welcome you to come forward with name and address, please.
Hi, Dan Aldrin. I actually live in Pleasant Hope, 5379 South 175th Street in Pleasant Hope. So, sorry, I'm from a little bit farther out. I do know Roger. I'm very similar to him. Came from a faraway place to here, and this is it's paradise. Protect it. I'd say what you really want in your wording, it's actually the 100,000 square foot. That's a very good thing. You can also say and you don't want to hurt people like the fire station. You can say any 100,000, or you could even say even a 40,000 foot or higher, or any facility whose square footage exceeds 40,000 foot that is designed for the housing of data processing machinery that utilizes, and the words you're looking for are evaporative cooling systems, or any hydraulic cooling system that's combined horsepower exceeds 200 horsepower. I work for a company and we're building these. Like, if you want to keep those from going someplace, those are the words you use. You're looking for an evaporative cool system. They don't use them very often, but if they do use them, you want to be able to keep anything that uses an evaporative cooling system. And if you have a hydronic cooling system, which is essentially a chiller system that uses an outdoor chiller unit with a closed loop system, a lot of things use those. But when you say 200 horsepower, you're getting into a realm. And that's a larger realm. That's actually a pretty low bar to set. Like there may be even I would maybe contact Southwest Baptist University to see if they have any cooled data centers in there that use any larger chillers, and see what they're running if they run something like that. That would probably be one of the bigger servers we have in town. So that's a kind of technical terminology that you're going to want in this. Because using words like vast, what's vast? All right, I have a vast sum of money. How much is it? It's like $10, right? So I would stay away from words like vast and use technical terms. And hydronic cooling systems is going to be one of the ways that they cool these things, or evaporative cooling systems, most likely hydronic, closed loop hydronic systems. And then the horsepower of the chillers that cool that water that's in that closed loop, that's going to be the piece that you're going to want to limit them on. That's all I got.
So Dan, when you're looking at size, do you take into megawatt into consideration, or?
So you could look into
Gigawatt.
Yeah, it's gonna be gigas.
MWs everywhere.
It'll be GWs for a data center for the kinds he's talking about. Yeah,
Gigs, not mega.
There's gonna be
But I'm
1,000
talking
of
about
those.
for smaller that you wouldn't mind living next to. That would be more in the megawatt range, would it not? 20 or less.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to want to.
So if we'll need any comments will need to be.
I'm sorry.
I have nothing further to say. That's all. That's all I wanted to say.
It's not
Do you
inappropriate.
have an answer to that, Dan? Did you have an answer to that?
As far as megawatts, I think that we should, in our planning and zoning, we should require people to state, like, what is going to be your power usage, what's going to be your water usage, what's going to be your effluent wastewater output, how are you treating your wastewater effluent outlet. But those are things that that our AHJ should ask for in planning and zoning, just as a general rule to safeguard our boundaries, if you will. But I think that when you look at like megawatt limitations, like I think that is one of the big concerns, but I think there's bigger concerns to that. I think people are concerned about the water being destroyed, and what you really want to be concerned about is your community being destroyed.
Yes.
You want to be worried about people who have generational wealth in land, and that's the most important and most beautiful thing that they own that they're going to pass down to their children, and one person with pockets just cash falling out of them could walk up and say, I'm going to devalue everything that's precious to you, just like that. And I don't think anybody here wants that to happen to them. I don't want it to happen to me. And it's the job of people like us that know things and have power to protect the people that just want to live life. And so I felt compelled to come to this meeting because of what I know about this industry. And I think there's ways we can limit this, but I think to Roger's point, like, these are things we're going to build. I mean, these are they're like coal plants. They're like natural gas plants. Like, we all say, well, I don't like natural gas plants, but we all really like there's lights in here, right? I wouldn't want to live next to one. There are places for them in the world, but there are good places for them and there are bad places for them. And we want to make sure that they don't build them in bad places. I yield? Is that what I do?
Yes.
You're fine.
All right.
You can just go.
Thank
Now,
you.
The first one, did you have a further comment that you wish to make? Okay. I think Mr. Kemp, did you have something that, okay. Okay.
I'm Lucas Roberts, 2416 West College Drive. I am also a data engineer. I work for Principal Financial Group, so you're not short on tech guys in the room tonight. I spent a lot of time at US East 1 this morning, actually, so I know all about Virginia. I think what these guys have said is fantastic. I think that these guys, infrastructure-wise, are more knowledgeable than I am. I wanted to come up and offer maybe a little bit of language. Like these fellas said, we are in a race. It is a genie that is not going back in the bottle on an international scale. We're in it to win it, good or bad. There's no stopping it. The best you can do is try to safeguard, the things you love and the place you love. I would say, and I would offer maybe a more conservative bit of language, anything that exports compute outside of this region. Outside of, I don't know how you would define that region, maybe the 417 area code, if that's legal enough. But essentially what they're talking about is, right, there are ways that we could harm CMH. If CMH IT said, oh my gosh, we've got this local LLM that we need to run for our own stuff, and it's got to be HIPAA compliant and stored on our servers, you don't want to tell them that they can't put something out there because it's going to be small, right? So yeah, anything that would export compute, I would think would be a good piece of language to add. Yeah. So, just reiterating what these guys said. This is like a 90-10 issue. I feel like it's one of the few things I've seen the Bolivar Community Facebook group united on. I think that this town has learned its lesson dealing with corporations, especially when it comes to utility rates and things like that. I know you're all ready to be cautious for anything that happens. I'll tell you the truth, guys. I'm less concerned with you and more concerned with the 3 commissioners in the courthouse. And I don't even know if there's anything they could do about it. Their hands may be tied. I'm not sure. I think. Can you name a 100,000 square foot building in this town? How big is Teeters?
But I mean, there's probably some lands where 100,000 foot could be built.
Lemon Road, right? So I think that what a company would see when they come to approach Bolivar is that you're not willing to play ball, and I appreciate that, but I do fear that they would just go straight to the county. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
We've had that conversation. We can only do inside the city limits.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
That's our that's our area,
Mm-hmm.
and so. And I think I had this conversation. If they find the city limit sign and go to the other side of it, we can't sit up here and say no, you can't do that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I mean, all we can do is protect inside the city limit. So,
Yeah, that's right. There we go. We could exercise a little authoritarian power. I think that's all I have, guys. I do appreciate you being proactive about this situation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Kemp, you signaled
I'm Ron Kemp, 719 North Market. My I2 guys left. So my big thing is I like their clarification and everything like that. And just so you know, when they say, we can run data through here, this is why I'm specific on what is a data center. The hyperbaric, the ones that are over 100,000 square feet, because we have the ones he was asking about SBU. Yes, well, you know what? So is the high school. My son put it in. It has one in the basement. CMH has one. The banks all probably run to the one that's in Springfield Underground. What's the name of that company? It's over. Anybody know the name of the company in Springfield Underground? Their hub is south of town, just so you know, by Smith's. That is a hub for them that runs all across the state of Missouri. They're big, but they're for certain things. So yeah, I think specifics is the best thing to do it, not just say no, because they're already existing, and they don't have to be big at all. But it's the power and how much space and how much they're going to usage, because they can be a site. I sent you the one thing that Liberty, Missouri has one that's only on 50 acres. And so, yeah, it can, and it's so, yeah, you can build, and then even as we word it, we also may have to put a limit on how many they can build of these small ones. Because, if they build 100 ones to skip the guidelines because they're all tiny, then it has to be how much are you affecting, the water and stuff like that. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Keith?
I'll try not to be
Okay.
too redundant.
Your name
Yes,
and
sir.
address, please.
Daniel Keith, 705 North Main. When you guys talk about people on Main Street, you're talking about me. Anyway, I thought it was funny in my head.
There you go.
So they pretty much covered a lot of what I wanted to say. I like their input. Again, I don't want to be too redundant. AI is coming like a freight train. So the data centers are coming to support AI. The only different tack I would embrace it instead of taking a negative tack to it at first. Find ways to embrace it and take advantage of it. I think we're looking at the wrong direction. How can we take advantage of somebody wanting to come into Bolivar and put a data center in, and not hurt the citizens? So you're doing the right thing about setting up your guidelines that you want to be followed, but also I would like a different mindset of how do we take advantage of this? How do we make this good for Bolivar instead of this is just bad, we can't do it. There's got to be a way we can make this something that we benefit from or could benefit from if a company wanted to. If you're too negative about it, then companies will do what they said. They'll just go outside the county, put the diesel in, and do whatever they want to do.
Well, the history of trying to stand in the way of developing technologies has been kind of a dead-end street. But obviously that there are many, many concerns about this new world that we're approaching, and but it is coming, and I think that we've heard lots of wise perspectives here, how we can contain this in a positive way, and yet perhaps even take advantage of it. So this is just my feeling is, and I don't know, I'm kind of interpreting the conversation from the board and from the community, that we have to be careful about this, but we need to study it and be sure that what we do is factual and that it is beneficial both in protecting and in moving the community forward. That's my feelings. Further discussion?
Where do we kind of ended at? We're just not going to do anything for 2 weeks?
Instruct staff.
Yeah, I can bring a proposed moratorium to the board.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Is the board comfortable in general with that approach?
Can I just to clarify, if we impose a moratorium, we can unimpose it if for some reason we decided we needed to.
Of course.
Of course. So I don't see a downside to going ahead as soon as we have language we can live with, if that's what the board wants to do.
Can you feel comfortable with that? I mean, you made the motion.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to put a stop to it today. You know,
I mean,
for a 180-day moratorium on new construction of data centers to define zoning laws for such centers. That's where my head's at. Because they could come in tomorrow and build a small one, and the next day, and they just have to break ground and start.
I think it's 2 weeks, of course, that we're feeling that we would like to have clear definition.
I mean, I am certainly have no issue with the motion and giving it all we've got. I just have reservations about it being actually enforceable without it being an actual ordinance in writing. But as a clear statement of the city's intent, I have no objection to it whatsoever.
I got a question.
Go ahead, please.
If you don't mind. Kyle, and kind of on Alderman Sawyer's, they still, like, they can't just break ground tomorrow. Is that true? Like, they still have to, like, go through planning and zoning, all that, or they can just go tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've heard described too, there may be limited locations within the community that could even be possible. But yeah, if someone had an area that was probably zoned I-1 or I-2, which is pretty limited, they could potentially, construct those. Our review time frame is about 2 weeks. I don't know that makes much of a difference in that sense. But yeah, the point is true.
Are we comfortable waiting?
No.
Say everyone else.
Say that again. I'm sorry. Say that
Are we
again.
comfortable waiting is the question.
Waiting a couple weeks
Well, I mean,
to get the.
so my question is, I mean,
What happens next week?
do we have a motion? I mean,
Comes in and
did
fills
you
out
make
the
did you
mail.
make a
That was my
motion?
motion.
So, what is your motion?
I move for a 180-day moratorium on new construction of data centers. And that time period would give us a time to define the zoning and laws for such centers.
Without the definition of data center.
There will be clues in the permit application, right? I mean, there will be clues in the application for the permit that this is actually what they're going to be.
I don't think
Does that
there's
tend
not,
to
no.
Would there?
I mean, I would lean on some of these industry experts. If it is that sneaky, I do not know if they call them something. I suspect it would be pretty clear in an application that it was intended for what you guys are describing. I mean, I look at architectural plans, it's going to be 90% servers, I'm going to assume, and maybe an office or two. So I suspect there would be, but we haven't received any of those before, so I'm not going to claim an
Basically,
expertise.
They can come in and say, hey, we're a warehouse, give us a permit to build.
Well, they'd have to define their use type of.
You want to step forward and help clarify this?
Say they're a warehouse,
Yeah.
they have to declare a
Yes,
use
because the fire code would be related to. So if you have stacks and stacks of servers, you're going to have fire suppression that's required for them. You're going to have all sorts of elements of the building that the construction code, building code requires for them to address.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. I don't know everything about Bolivar's permitting process or city ordinances around code and all of that, but from the architectural plans for data centers that I've seen over the years, the only thing that I, as a lay person when it comes to architecture, I took a drafting class in high school. That's about it. But looking at those plans, the only thing that I can always pick out is the fire suppression system, because they need to either have dry pipe or they have to have a halon, a gas system. And they don't really use the halon ones as much anymore. They're much more expensive and a little more dangerous. Dry pipe you got to have above the all the servers, because if they catch on fire, you want the water to rush in and put them out, but you don't want an accident by having the pipes filled with water ahead of time. And those are completely different than pretty much every other fire suppression system you'll see for other uses. So that would be the major clue.
So, question. So right now we have nothing really in place. And so we are saying give staff 2 weeks to try to get something that they can bring back to the board so we can get something in place. Is that what I'm hearing, Don?
My understanding was
So,
Again-
well, not like,
This board is not precluded from scheduling an interim meeting.
yeah, so
But
my question would be, let's say we have a motion on the table for a 180-day moratorium. Let's say that gets a second and it gets approved, and we come back in 2 weeks and we say, these are the recommendations we have. Can we then say we're going to remove that moratorium and move forward with the recommendations that staff have? I feel like the concern we have right now is there's going to be a 2-week window that how unrealistic that 2-week window could be. There's a chance that it could potentially happen. So that would be my question, Don, is if there's a motion on the table, second, if it passes, and we come back in 2 weeks with, and you guys have a defined, this is what we think and what we've researched, and we vote on that, can we then remove the moratorium or continue it with stipulations?
Well, no, what I would envision the next meeting would be the actual written moratorium to put
It wouldn't even
the
be
verbal
one.
motion into existence, so to speak,
Okay.
formally. And that would buy us the time we would need to do some comprehensive regulatory work.
How much time
Yes.
do you need to draw up a
Then-
moratorium?
Not to interrupt you, I would second Shane's motion.
I could probably have it done if you guys wanted to meet again later this week or early next week.
I second your motion, Shane, so.
So just to clarify, what our attorney has told us is that he is not confident that moratorium passed tonight would be binding or effective
Until it's written.
until it's written.
But we need to make a motion to write one.
Well,
I'm
no, we
assuming.
can direct staff and they could come back with something at the next meeting without a motion, like declaring a moratorium that won't exist until it's written. I think either way, we could get to something written whenever we meet next. So I know you've seconded it. I'm just clarifying that it's not, right now there's nothing, and after the vote, there will be something. Our attorney is telling us after the vote, there will be the same thing as before the vote, except a public statement of our intent until we have something in writing.
Don, do you feel that us voting for this tonight would have a negative impact in any way?
Won't do any harm.
Further discussion?
Kyle, do you or Thomas have feedback on any of this?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear to me that in regard to plan review, I'll be consulting Dawn if we have a data center or something that appears to be similar to a data center applying for a building permit in the next 2 weeks.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
I'm sorry, I don't want to vote for a moratorium. It's not defined. I'm a no. We haven't defined a data center, and I can't.
Okay,
I can't forbid
with
something we haven't
7
defined.
ayes and 1 no, we have approved the motion.
Did
Mis-
they want this read into the minutes, the county commissioners?
Yeah, they sent this to us.
Yeah, did
Oh,
they
yes,
want it
I see.
read
All right.
into the record?
I don't think they have a problem with that.
Okay,
They said they were unable to make it known.
all right. Counselor, we have the statement from the county commission. Is it appropriate for me to read this and have that as a part of the public record?
Yes, sir. If you want to do that.
I shall. For public consumption. Official statement from the Polk County Commission. Polk County is aware of public interest and concern regarding the potential development of data centers within the county. The county is currently reviewing its available legally enforceable options and evaluating the issues presented in a careful and responsible manner. In doing so, the county must balance community concerns, infrastructure considerations, and other local impacts with the private property rights of landowners and the limits of the county's legal authority. The county remains committed to acting within the law, protecting the interests of its residents, and ensuring that any decisions are made thoroughly and transparently. Incomplete. Or totally complete, not incomplete. Mr. President?
Yep. Our calendar events, June 9th, work session, June 23rd, regular session, June 21st. 2026 Life Church Car Show, June 30th, 2026 semi-quintennial Monument Dedication, June 4th and 19th, Rec Center hosting swim team meets. June 30th and July 2nd, lecture series, July 4th, 2026, Celebration of Freedom.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to thank those who spoke to us. It was very enlightening, and I actually hope to hear from you again and till we can understand this more completely and deal with it factually. With that, I'm entertaining a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We can get by with just real estate.
Beg your pardon, sir?
Just real estate?
Is all we need to discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then I will move. Had a request for a 5-minute recess. That we have a 5-minute recess and then come back into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subparagraph 2, leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public governmental body where public knowledge of the transaction might adversely affect the legal consideration therefore. And just that one.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor say aye. Oh, no. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. Thank you very much all for coming. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Pay the roll. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Aye.
Beg your pardon. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
She just did. She was in the middle of calling the roll when
We're
you started
done.
talking before.
Calling roll.
Okay, now you can say
Did I
goodbye.
interrupt?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Now you can say
Please
your
do what you're
goodbye.
told
Has-
this time.
You can say your
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
Thank you, everyone, for showing. The closed session will be for items that are of a confidential matter.